Home sweet home. After a 4-2 road trip, the Cincinnati Reds return to Great American Ballpark for a short 3-game homestand against the first place in the Eastern Division, Washington Nationals. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grant. Great to be back home for the Reds. Great to be back sitting next to you, too,
buddy. How about this guy back in the booth? It's great to see you, George.
And it's great to be home for this Reds. What a road trip you had.
Well, you're not kidding about that. It was an exciting road trip and a successful road trip that the Reds had. First, they went through Pittsburgh, and, of course, Jay Bruce was a hero there. Well, let's just go right on to the mammoth home run that he hit in Milwaukee. Unbelievable what he did. Matt Latos got lots of strikeouts when he was in Pittsburgh. He's really coming around. Zach Cozart, George, you've seen him play a lot. He's hit a home run right there. And I'll tell you what, Johnny Cueto, you give him the ball, you know what you're going to get.
Cueto might be the best in the National League right now, and the Reds have plenty of pitching. And they've got Joey Votto, too. He's on pace to be even better than he was last year. He may equal his MVP-type season. When the Reds needed a big hit on the road, he delivered. Well, what will the Reds do now that they're home? Only 3 games, Chris, and then a very, very important stretch because they hit the road for some important games.
Well, they've got a stretch of 14 games where they will play teams with more wins than they have losses. And, of course, when you go into New York, you spend a week there, not only will you be broke, but you're going to have to figure out a way to play and beat the New York Yankees as well. And that's what's going to be setting ahead of them. After they take care of the Mets are playing very good baseball. They got to take on the Pinstripers. Not an easy week coming up, but don't look ahead. Take care of the Nationals starting tonight.
Well, the Reds have played the Nationals once. They lost 3 of 4 in Washington, even though they were only outscored 14-12. But boy, do the Nationals pitch, beginning with Gio Gonzalez.
Well, he is the real deal. He came over from the American League, and this year, all of a sudden, he is trusting his fastball a lot more. He's using it a lot more, and he's getting a lot of strikeouts. He had a lot of strikeouts against the Reds. Only gave up 2 hits and 7 punch-outs when he faced them in D.C., and believe me, he hasn't slowed up since. He's got a big curveball, a hard fastball, and Mike Leake is going to have his work cut out for him this evening because he's looking for his first win. He pitched a lot better his last time out. A matchup tonight of a lefty and a righty. We'll see which one of these guys ends up on top.
Nationals have the #1 starting pitching in the league. The Reds have the #1 bullpen in the league. That's our scene set for tonight. And oh, by the way, the new Mr. Wonder is in town. Bryce Harper comes in with the Nationals. That story and more coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, what a beautiful night. Tonight's weather brought to you tonight by Thompson Plumbing, Heating and Cooling and Drain Cleaning. Let's get the latest from Channel 12's Michelle Boudelet.
It will be a great night at the ballpark. Weather-wise, absolutely gorgeous. 70 degrees by first pitch, and we're looking at a whole lot of sunshine, down to 65 by the middle of the game, and by the end of the game, mostly clear skies. Temperatures right around 60.
As usual, right on the money, Michelle, and right on the money has been Bryce Harper. Chris, this guy's been something else since coming up as a 19-year-old. He swings it, he throws it, he catches it. He's the real deal.
Well, the physical tools are one thing, and he's got all of those, but how he is handling the media height, the pressure, the pitchers on the other teams throwing at him, they're testing him, and here he is hitting in the middle of the order. I mean, it's really an amazing feat. People are comparing him to Mickey Mantle, Ken Griffey Jr. That's big company, and he's off to a pretty good start. 263 average, has yet to hit his first home run, but he has more walks than strikeouts. That's very unusual for a young player.
19 years old, but playing well beyond his years. He's been outstanding. He comes to Cincinnati. So do the Nationals as the Reds try for some revenge after losing 3 of 4 in the nation's capital. Coming up next, Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Being brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year by Cincinnati, USA. Let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati, USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. What a beautiful day to walk around downtown Cincinnati in the Queen City, pick up a Skyline, come to a ball game, and big crowds expected all weekend long for this brief 3-game homestand. As Davey Johnson, the former manager of the Reds, he managed Cincinnati back in 93, 94, and 95. Here's his starting lineup brought to you by AXA. Ian Desmond will lead it off. Roger Bernardina bats second. Zimmerman third. LaRoche. Then there's Harper behind him. Espinosa, the switch hitter. Ankiel, Ramos, and Gio Gonzalez all set to face Mike Leake. Chris?
Well, Mike Leake is 3 games over 500 despite being 0-4 this year, looking for his first win of the 2012 season. Earned run average up there, but he pitched much better his last time out. And he hopes to be able to build on that momentum a little bit. The Reds didn't get him much in the way of support. But Leake will be facing a lineup that Davey Johnson runs out there with a lot of left-handers in it. I think one of the important pitches for Mike Leake tonight is going to be that slider that he throws down and into left-handers, tries to hit their back left foot with it, and for the most part, if he's throwing it right, they'll chase it, not be able to put it in play, at least not very hard.
Facing Ian Desmond, who bangs one past Cozart into center. He continues hot hitting against Leake. He was 5 for 14, 357 coming in, and there's your leadoff hitter on here in the first. Let's check your defensive alignment, sponsored by Ford for the Cincinnati Reds. Ryan Ludwig's over in left. Drew Stubbs, Jay Bruce, Gold Glove caliber in center and right. The infield rolling, you know, he's got 8 Gold Gloves. Cozart, Phillips with a couple in his pocket too, and Joey Votto won the Gold Glove last year with Phillips. Devin Mesoraco gets the start with Leake on the mound. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Bernardina showing bunt. This is a Davy Johnson club, just like every club he's ever had, Chris, that will very seldom sacrifice. Bernardina might do it on his own, but Davy's a guy. He played for Earl Weaver, remember? He plays for the big innings.
Yeah, he does, but the problem with that is he's missing a couple of his big hitters. In fact, 2 of his big home run hitting outfielders are on the disabled list, not expected to be back for a while. So he's trying to figure out a way to get his offense going. In fact, this team very much mirrors the Reds, where they pitch well. They haven't hit all that much. He's got his excuses, Davy Johnson does, because of injuries, but the pitching staff has carried them where they are right now.
15-year managerial career. Remember, he took the Mets to the World Series, Baltimore, the Dodgers, and of course the Reds, 93, 94, and 95. And here he is in Washington, coming out of retirement, and he's having a great time. He believed in this club last year when he came back to take over for Jim Riggleman. And after talking with Mike Rizzo, the general manager, he decided to come back this year, and he said it over the winter. He said, we have the ability to win in the East, and they're in first place coming into tonight with a 19-12 record in the National League East. Bernardina will foul it off. Now, you mentioned, Chris, the injuries that they have. That's given Bernardina a chance to be in this lineup. Davey searching for any kind of offense he can find. That's why he brought Bryce Harper up, and Harper's in the lineup. Of course, Ryan Zimmerman was on the disabled list. He's back. Adam LaRoche was on the DL. He's back. They lost their outstanding right fielder, Jason Worth. Michael Morse hasn't played yet this year. So they're looking for some offense from anybody they can find it from. And Bernardina's getting the start here tonight. Breaking ball in there, says Jeff Kellogg. Kellogg's your home plate umpire. Eric Kruger's down at first. Marty Foster's your second base umpire, and Tim Timmons your third base umpire for today.
Kellogg is an umpire that has a reputation for calling strikes, and he will. His number, George, and I know you've been following it, is 63.36.
Ironically, going into tonight, pitching in the National League, pitching in the American League, identical. Each of them have thrown 63% strikes on the year, so you'd say Kellogg's right down the middle.
He is, and that's exactly what he was last year. He was 63.30 last year, so 1/100th of a point different for him last year to this year.
There goes the runner. Bounce foul down to the right side. We'll try it again, 3-2. Desmond has good speed. Ian, very athletic. Grew up in Sarasota. In fact, he was not necessarily a Reds fan, but he respected the Reds and he idolized Barry Larkin. He came to the ballpark in Sarasota when the Reds trained there many times and watched Barry, got to know Barry, and Larkin has remained a mentor for him. They text each other back and forth on a regular basis. He's got unique ability, like Barry Larkin, to be a Hall of Famer this year had. That's fouled off again. They're already getting Leake to throw a lot of pitches.
Well, they're at a 3-2 count. They figure they're going to get a strike. They're hoping that Ian Desmond puts the ball in play, and he's a guy that will strike out, however. You know, the Nationals are struggling with an offense where their first 2 guys in the lineup simply are not getting on base at all. Both of them lower than 300 on base percentage. That's not very good at the top of the lineup. Desmond's hitting under 190. Although he hit a home run last night, they estimated it to go 450 feet. So the power is there when he connects.
8th pitch of this at bat from the stretch is Leake. There goes the runner again. This is bounce to the right side. It'll kick foul as well. So Desmond's getting his sprints in.
Yeah, he is. And this is the kind of a bat that can frustrate a pitcher, because you're trying to throw strike after strike, but not just strikes, quality strikes. And eventually you're trying to tell the guy, all right, just put the ball in play, please. We saw Ryan Braun foul off several pitches the other day in a ball game that was 2-0 at the time. He finally got a pitch to hit for a home run. Joey Votto does that all the time, where he battles and battles, spoils a lot of pitches at the plate.
chase Desmond back down at first. Mike had a lead against the Nationals when he pitched against them on the 15th of April in Washington. In fact, led 5-0. He ended up with a no decision in a game that the Reds finally won, and they just about nailed Desmond, who was leaning the wrong way.
That's a pretty good idea right there. Here's the A move right here. We'll see it at the very end. A little slap tag by Votto, not in time.
Try it again, 3-2. Runner going again, and again it's bounced foul.
Now, this is the one thing about being a non-strikeout pitcher, that it works against you, because the manager knows that. Davey Johnson knows that Mike Leake doesn't strike out a lot of guys, so he feels confident that either Desmond's going to put the ball in play, probably on the ground, or he's going to take a walk. So that's why you're going to send, I mean, Bernardino's at the plate. That's why you're going to send Desmond time after time.
Desmond saying enough already. I'm a little winded here. 3-2. Another lead for Ian off first. Leak to the stretch. Red still double play combo. He's not going this time, and it's sky to right. Bruce going back, looking up. It's hit too good and gone. Roger Bernardino gets his second home run, and Mike Leake didn't have a pitch to put him away. Bernardino, give him credit for a good at bat. He wears out Leake, and here in the first, on the 10th pitch of the at bat, drills a 2-run homer. It's 2-0 Washington.
Yeah, you really do have to give him some credit, because he did battle in there. He was able to stay alive on some very good pitches that Mike Leake gave him. Eventually, Leake makes a mistake. That fastball, he wanted a little bit more inside than that, and he comes right out of his shoes to swing after it. So 2 days and 2 home runs for Bernardino. His first 2 of the season.
The last time out in Pittsburgh, Leake pitched very well. He made 2 mistakes. Those 2 mistakes cost him 2 home run balls. And here in the first inning, a lengthy at bat by Bernardino winds up in the seats, and it's a 2-0 lead for Washington. Here's Zimmerman. Ryan in at 270, a homer and 7 knocked in, a ball and a strike to Ryan. Signed a new contract extension this past offseason, and as has been the case the last couple of years, spent time on the disabled list again. This time a right shoulder problem. Just came off the DL this week.
Yeah, he was really throwing kind of funny.
Yep.
When the Reds saw him when they're on their trip through D.C. I watched him a lot here during infield practice, and he still doesn't look like he's 100%. But they're trying to correct his footwork and make him a little bit more fundamentally sound the way he throws. He's kind of a freelance thrower. And when you've got a sore arm and you're a freelance thrower, and what I mean by that is that he'll throw from different arm angles. Sometimes he'll throw it sidearm, sometimes he'll throw it overhand.
Scott Rowland's the 8-time Gold Glove winner in the National League, and Zimmerman, as well as anybody in the game, charges and makes those off-balance throws better than anybody, but they take their toll on your arm.
Well, he's the slow roller king, Zimmerman is, and Scott Rowland is essentially the consistency king. Scott Rowland, you know, if you've ever watched any of our tech talks, he'll tell you that he never, ever, even in practice, throws a ball to first base unless he sets his feet, sets his shoulder, and does it like in a game.
3-2 again. This one popped to the right side and out of play. So already, not that the pitch count makes a difference in the first inning, but already Leake's throwing a ton of them. Another full count. Zimmerman digs in. 3-2.
Well, Mike Leake is as easily capable of throwing a 6-pitch inning as he is throwing a 36-pitch inning, because he's a contact type pitcher. He just hopes to put it in play on the ground.
A single, a homer, and now a walk. Still no one out, and Devin Mesoraco will take a trot out to the mound to talk to Leake, and Brandon Phillips will come in and join the conference for a little sermon on the mound, as Adam LaRoche will come to the plate.
Now you start facing the left-hand part of this lineup. You have LaRoche a lefty, Bryce Harper a lefty, Danny Espinosa a switch hitter, and Rick Ankiel a lefty. And 3 of those 4 with plenty of home run power.
And he was a one-man wrecking crew, this man, Adam LaRoche, when you went to Washington to play the Nationals in April, Chris. He just dismantled the Reds. He was 6 for 17 and 6 runs knocked in.
He hasn't slowed down a whole lot. He catches a lot of walks. He's walked 16 times, which is most on this team. His on-base percentage up around Joey Votto territory, up over 420.
His numbers for May: started hot, went on the DL, then came back again.
What you like to do if you have the fastball is just to buzz it right in under his hands. But if you don't have the pitch to get in there, he likes to whip that bat through, likes to extend his arms. He's a typical left-hander who likes that ball down and out over the plate.
Likes the road too, huh? Missing down and away, and it's 3-0.
Right now, it looks like Mike Leake is trying to pitch away from contact rather than for contact. And he's a guy that really needs to make sure that those first couple of pitches are in there.
His pitching coach, Brian Price, looking on. This one hit pretty good, left center field. Back goes Stubbs to the warning track, to the wall. That's one hopping off the wall. Rounding third, coming to the plate is Zimmerman. Here comes the throw. It will not be in time. And it's a 2-base run scoring hit for Adam LaRoche. And just like that, it's 3-0.
Well, they gave the green light on a 3-0 pitch, figuring he was going to get a nice juicy fastball, and that's exactly what he got. And when that ball first went off his bat, I didn't think it had a chance of getting anywhere near the wall. It looked like he got it out of the end of the bat. A pitch was on the outer part of the plate, but well up high enough that Drew Stubbs couldn't even make an attempt at it. And right now, Mike Leake being visited by Brian Price, just trying to figure out a little damage control.
Much of a mental break as anything else as Price gives him a bit of a pep talk. And here comes Harper. Still no one out in the inning.
Well, not the time and really you want to face Bryce Harper. I watched this guy take batting practice, and it was very impressive. Not because of the distance of the home runs or the number of home runs he hit, but the line drives that he hit all over the ballpark. I mean, the ball just simply carries and carries and carries.
19 years old, but great presence on the field and great athletic ability. In at 263, no homers and 3 knocked in.
He's got a little Albert Pujols in him, does he not? Watch how he holds his hands. He's almost like a left-handed hitting Albert Pujols. Holds his hands high and back.
He plays the game hard. He runs hard, athletically, defensively. He plays hard, and he'll do that either line. He'll spray one to left. He'll drill it to right. And what Davey Johnson said has impressed him so much since the first time he saw him was that he'll hit the ball hard all over the ballpark. You know, how many times did you hear Ken Griffey Sr. talk about Junior that way? He told him growing up, just hit the ball where it's pitched and hit it hard. And that's what Bryce's dad has taught him over the years. He still says his dad is the man who knows his swing better than anyone. And mom, dad, brother Brian, and sister can be pretty proud of everything he's accomplished so far. Breaking ball in there for a strike. And the breaking ball gets Bryce, and there is out number 1 finally here in inning number 1.
A very good pitch sequence, finished off by a curveball that kind of backdoors Bryce Harper. He knew it, didn't want to admit it, but he goes down looking. So finally Mike Leake gets it out in the inning.
So Harper's retired, and now runner's still sitting at second, and here's Danny Espinosa, the switch hitter, as Bryce Harper retired first time around. Espinosa's been struggling, in at 191, a homer and 2 knocked in. Danny from that long line from Long Beach State. Shortstop there. Troy Tulowitzki, Evan Longoria, among those who played there for the Dirtbags, and as they call themselves, and outstanding competitor. Struggling right now to try to find a way to hit what he just saw, a breaking ball. Fouled at the plate, and it's 1-1.
Well, he's a nice defensive player, but he's never really reached his potential yet offensively. I mean, he comes in this ball game a career .226 hitter. The .214 his first year, part-time player, full-time player last year. He bumped that batting average up to .236. But you wonder how long the leash and the patience will be if this guy continues to hit in the 100s.
Skies it to short center field. Right back on the grass is Cozart. Camped there. He'll haul it in, and there's your second out. So damage control mode for Leake. He's got 2 away, and here comes Ankiel.
I'll tell you, Mike Leake can get through this inning and give up only the 2 runs that he gave up with that home run by Roger Bernardina. Whether he throws 35 or 40 pitches or not, that's a kind of an emotional victory for him. Because this inning could have really imploded.
You were there in Pittsburgh.
The 3 runs, excuse me, not the 2 runs.
When Latos bounced back after a lengthy first inning and just slammed the door from there. Breaking ball misses for ball 1. Here's Ankiel at .275. Couple of homers, 7 knocked in against Leake in his career, 2 for 6. Before signing with Washington this offseason, Rick had talked with the Reds among those teams that he was negotiating with. The Reds eventually signed Ryan Ludwig, but Walt Jocketty, of course, a relationship with Ankiel from St. Louis, same as Ludwig. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, I think Rick Ankiel has done maybe what's the toughest thing in baseball, which is to go from being a pitcher to an everyday player. Brian Bogusevic of the Astros, the other guy right now in the National League that have done that. But there's a lot of guys that have gone the other way, started out as pitchers or started out as infielders, catchers, made themselves pitchers. But turn yourself into an everyday player, man, oh man. That means when you signed and they saw you as a pitcher, you were probably good enough to play as a hitter too, and you had to make a decision.
Unique ability, and he's battled on the field and off the field as well to put together a darn good major league career. Here's the 2-2. LaRoche off second. Short hop by Joey. Good job. Will they get there in time? Leake will. Ovado saves a run on an Olay play down at first. So the Gold Glover saves Leake a run. Joey's due up when we return. He'll be up third. Speaking of threes, that's what the Nationals have put on the board. They lead at 3-0. Of his career, 20th all time. Next up, year-old manager Dick Williams at 1571. Here's our AXA Advisors starting lineup for Dusty and the Reds. Zach Cozart, speaking of young players, he's having a Rookie of the Year kind of year, and 267 to lead it off. Drew Stubbs, in the comfort of hitting in front of Joey Votto, bats second. Brandon Phillips in the fourth spot. Jay Bruce, Scott Rowland, Ryan Ludwig platoons in left, and he'll be there today. And Devin Mesoraco catching Leake, with Leake a pretty good hitting pitcher batting in the ninth spot. That's your Cincinnati Reds AXA starting lineup. And speaking of players who were on the Reds' radar in the offseason, Gio Gonzalez, before the Reds made a deal for Matt Latos, Gonzalez was one of those who might have materialized in a deal with Oakland. He ended up in Washington, Chris.
He also is one of those pitchers that came over in exchange for a number of other players, and a lot of very good ones that Mike Rizzo and the Washington Nationals gave up in order to get this guy. But he's proved to be a very, very good acquisition so far. 3-1 overall with a very low earned run average. He pitched an outstanding game his last time out. That was Saturday when he beat the Phillies, their arch rival now. 7 innings of 1-run baseball. Almost what he did against the Reds. And really the difference between Gonzalez, and he was a pitcher for 4 years in Oakland. Between him then and now, and he's had good years over there. He won 16 games last year, 15 games the year before. But he's using his fastball. And he's not afraid of contact like he was earlier in his career in the American League. Maybe with no DH, maybe allowing to pitch to a little bit more inferior lineups with a pitcher in there. He's able to go after him a little bit more.
Took the pep talk from Steve McCatty, his pitching coach. McCatty, of course, outstanding pitcher in his own right back in Oakland days. Saying be aggressive. In this league, you got to come after him, and he has. And one of the best pitchers in the league thus far.
Well, the batting average against, I mean, if you just throw out every other stat, forget about the wins and the earned run average, but here's a guy that has pitched almost 37 innings and he's only given up 20 hits. That computes to a batting average of 156. If you hit 156, you're getting released.
Second only to Ted Lilly in the league. Batting average against. And Keel will cruise over and put this in his pocket. First out, Cozart retired. Let's check your Ford defensive alignment for the Nationals. Bernardino will be in left. Ankiel and Harper, two outstanding arms in center and right. Brian Zimmerman has won a Gold Glove at third. Desmond, very athletic at short. Espinosa at second, and Adam LaRoche solid at first. Wilson Ramos is the catcher. He'll catch Gio Gonzalez. That's your Ford defensive alignment. The Nationals are 8th in the league defensively. They've committed 20 errors. The Reds are 5th in the league defensively. They've committed 17 on the season. And speaking of deals for players, Ramos behind the plate catching Gonzalez. He came up in the Minnesota organization, and I guess, Chris, when you got Joe Mauer, you know he's going to be there for a while. So that put Ramos on the available list. Bounce to short, off balance throw, scoop by LaRoche. Nice play on both ends. Desmond makes the play and LaRoche makes the stare, and Stubbs is retired.
Boy, anytime a shortstop goes a couple of steps to his right and throws out Drew Stubbs, you've done a great job right there. That's a highlight reel type of a play for Desmond. You talked about his athletic ability when he was at the plate, George. He shows that to you defensively every time he goes after a ground ball.
And we talked about him idolizing Barry Larkin, and here's Joey Votto in at 291. In fact, talking to Davey Johnson before the game, he said, I told him you can be Barry Larkin. You have that unique athletic ability. You can be a solid offensive player, and defensively you can be a Barry Larkin in the infield too. Chris, remember the line that Davey used with us when we talked about Barry? You know, where would you hit him in the lineup? And Davey said, well, Barry's my best number 1 hitter. He's my best number 2 hitter. He's my best number 3 hitter. So you tell me where to play him. And that was so true. 1 ball, 1 strike to Joey. Votto at 291, 15 doubles, no triples, 2 homers, 18 knocked in. He's been one of the league leaders in doubles all season long. Only 1 for 6 against Gonzalez.
Don't you love Davey Johnson's demeanor when he's sitting in there watching the game? I mean, he's laid back. He's got his foot up on the dugout rail ahead of him. I mean, so many different managers are standing at the top of the dugout, you know, trying to operate the ball game and stressing over every pitch. And he's seen so much baseball. He's played so much baseball that he realizes that You know, he can't control it unless he goes out and makes a move. So why stress about it?
Kind of reminds you of Jack McKeon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Comfortable in his own skin, that's for sure.
If Jack had his druthers, he would have been smoking a cigar in there.
Yep. Davey just chews. League leading 28th walk for Votto, so he's down at first. 2 out, 1 on, and here's Brandon Phillips. Chris, you watched the Reds in Milwaukee, and I got the sense for the first time since he pulled his hamstring that Brandon's finally healthy. And talking to him before the game, he said it's just now starting to feel normal again.
It takes a while. I mean, even a hamstring issue that is down around the knee rather than the high hamstring, which is deeper, it's hard to heal and so on. It just takes a while, especially when you're playing every day. But I think the sign that Brandon's feeling better is the fact that he's hitting the ball to right field more, staying back on the fastball a little bit, driving it.
6 for 12 is not bad the last 3 games, huh? And when you see him going to right and right center, you know he's back on it again.
That's usually a sign for everybody, but it's especially true for Brandon. Although every once in a while he'll take a big old cut like that.
Early in the count. Against Gonzalez, he's 0 for 3 in previous matchups. Short lead for Joey. Votto has stolen 1, not been caught this year. That's the other part of the equation. Gonzalez has a tricky move as a left-hander. Joey trying to figure it out as he talks to LaRoche over there. Way wide, 2-2. Short 3-game homestand. Hope you get a chance to come down and see us at the ballpark by the river. George Grant, Chris Wells, Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro will be keeping you up to date on pre- and post-game activities all weekend long. Bounced over the pitcher. Flag down. They'll get the force at second. Nice play by Espinosa. Well, the Reds are used to seeing that from Phillips, but Danny Espinosa ends it with a nice assist in the first. To the second we go.
Best pitching staffs in baseball will be a challenge, and then we go on the road, you know, playing some good teams in the Braves, Mets, and Yankees. So this will probably be our first test. And I think after that we play another 6 or 7 days in a row, totaling like 20 straight days of games, and it's going to be a grind against a bunch of good teams. So I think this will kind of help us gauge where we're at and see where we need to move forward.
Well put, Drew Stubbs. The storylines tonight brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Line drive base hit from Wilson Ramos to lead off the second. So once again, Mike Leake will have to work out of the stretch to start the second inning. And here's the pitcher, Gio Gonzalez. 167 on the early season, 2 for 12. We'll see if he'll sacrifice. Drops down a pretty good bunt. Mesoraco will take the out at first. And a successful sacrifice by Gonzalez.
That's the first of the year for Gonzalez. He's not had all that much practice at it, of course, spending his major league career in the American League previous to coming over to Washington. Had a couple last year in interleague play.
Handled
Boy,
about,
made it look easy, didn't he?
Yeah, he handled about well against the Reds down in Washington, too.
He did.
So runner in scoring position, 1 away, and here's Ian Desmond, who started the game with a single to center. I mean, when you look at the Nationals' numbers, all but 2 of their sacrifices have been by pitchers. They came into tonight with only 9 sacrifices. Compare that to 17 for the Reds. And they're the only team in the league with less than 10 sacrifices on the season. There's a pop-up. Brandon has it, and there's 2 away. Chris, you did just about everything. You were a starter, a middle reliever, a setup guy. How difficult you in the bullpen, and you do most of your warm-ups out of the complete windup, and bingo, your first batter you face gets a base hit and you're out of the stretch. You spend the whole first inning out of the stretch. Sometimes you're just out of whack.
Well, you know, George, I wish that I had listened to Greg Maddux when I pitched. Of course, he was the teenager then, but he used to say that he would pitch more in the bullpen during his in-between start work out of the stretch position than he would ever out of the full windup, because that's when you want to throw your best pitches. And it's a simple theory. I just never heard it before. Of all the pitching coaches I had, never really had guys explain it in those simple terms, and it makes a lot of sense. And I encourage all the young pitchers that I ever work with to do the same. Because when you got a man on second base, that's when you have to deliver your best stuff. It's easy out of the full windup.
From the stretch is Leake. Bernardino homered first time up, back to the plate. That's a strike, says Jeff Kellogg, on the outside corner. Bernardino doesn't like the call.
Which really amazes me about Johnny Cueto. You know, he's adopted that big twist and turn of his full windup, and he doesn't do that at all out of the stretch, yet his stuff is just about the same both ways. A lot of pitchers think they lose a little bit out of the stretch. Not the case.
Oh, what a matchup you had with him and Zach Greinke.
Whew.
That was some kind of afternoon baseball.
Unless you happen to be a hitter.
That was afternoon delight for pitchers.
A lot of horse collars that game.
And Greinke's throwing a cutter now?
Yeah. And a good one.
Jeez. Unfair. Why does he need it?
Because his team's not scoring him many runs.
It's like giving Meryl Streep another Oscar. Who needs it? Inside misses. It's been tremendous to watch the growth of Johnny Cueto. One of the top 3 or 4 pitchers in all of baseball right now. He gets it.
He really does get it.
3 balls, 1 strike. Another breaking ball clips the inside corner. Bernardino not making friends with Jeff Kellogg. Backing out, shaking his head, flailing the bat around.
Well, he's always been a guy to take a lot of pitches in an at bat. He averages almost 4 pitches per at bat. Bernardino does, and that's on the high end. So he's a very patient hitter.
They have one of the least patient hitters in all of baseball, and Ian Desmond at the top of the order. And Bernardino takes a page from some of the most patient hitters in the game.
I'll tell you, the way he's handled himself in these first 2 at bats, he doesn't look like a 189 hitter.
I think he's realizing that this is a great opportunity, and maybe a short one too, with the injuries. And Michael Morse on the DL. That's blooped into left. That's going to drop for a hit, and it's going to get another run in. So Bernardino homers his first time up and singles to left his second time up. He accounts for another run batted in, and it's 4-0 Washington.
I guarantee you that when the Reds went over this lineup against the Nationals, Bernardino was not the guy that they concentrated the most on. I'm sure they talked about LaRoche and Harper and Ankiel, Wilson Ramos even more so, and Zimmerman more than they did Bernardina. But here's a guy that kind of sneaks up on you. Hit his first home run of the year last night. Ramos did a great job reading where the outfield was, and he knew immediately that ball was going to fall in. Got a great jump.
So here's Zimmerman, who walked first time up. When you're not a strikeout pitcher, and Mike Leake isn't, the longer you can extend at bats early. There goes Bernardina. Here comes Mesoraco's throw. It will be not in time.
Well, he had 17 bags last year. This is number 3 for him, and he can fly. There's no question about that.
Third of this year. He's been caught once, so he's in scoring position. No balls, 2 strikes to Zimmerman. This game 1 of the series. Tomorrow, Matt Latos will take on Jordan Zimmerman. What a start he's off to. And then Bronson Arroyo will face Edwin Jackson on Sunday. Jackson, he of complete game fame against the Reds earlier this year. And the Reds hit the road at Atlanta. Then on to the Mets and the Yankees next week. Two. So from 0-2, once again Zimmerman works it to full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He got him, but the damage done. Another run scoring hit from Roger Bernardina. 4-0 Washington as we go to the bottom of 2. Bring mom and the family this Sunday to see the Reds take on the Nationals. Get to the ballpark early. Bring mom to the fan zone stage so she can be one of 200 moms to participate in a special Mother's Day pregame parade. Plus, the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger receive a J. Bruce cereal bowl and spoon set. presented by New York Life. Make Sunday a day Mom will never forget. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Speaking of Jay Bruce, he'll lead it off as we go to the second. Bruce, Rowland, and Ludwig due for the Reds 5, 6, and 7. Swing and a miss, and that's where Gio Gonzalez will settle in at 91, 92 miles an hour with some movement on that fastball.
Yeah, that movement is right underneath the elbows of Jay Bruce. Hard to get the bat head on it right there. You know, Gonzalez has what scouts would say is a fast arm. I mean, not necessarily how hard he throws the ball, but how quickly he gets it out of his glove and up behind his left ear into that throwing position. Hides the ball very well. There's a big breaking ball. At one time, he used to throw about 50% of those. Now he's down to about 20%.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat, looping towards the alley. It'll be one hop to the wall, and it'll bounce over the wall for a double. Ground rule double for Bruce. And he says it himself, Chris. He talked about it all spring. When he stays in the middle of the field, he's a much better hitter, and that's what he does here.
Well, he gets his foot down. See how quickly he got his foot down in the same place that he started it at. So he's able to get balance with his feet and keep his hands back. And he's not swinging wildly like he once was. I was a little surprised right there in that count that Gonzalez didn't throw him another breaking ball, but Bruce figured, hey, he bounced a breaking ball in the dirt. He's got to come with a fastball right there, and he didn't get all of it, but he got enough of it to go into the stands.
Here's Scott Rowland with the Reds' first runner in scoring position, Jay Bruce. Rowland in at 182, 6 doubles, no triples, couple of homers, and 11 knocked in. Jasper, Indiana native. Fastball on the outside corner. It's 1-1. Up and down the lineup, there's a lot of those. Rowland 0 for 8, Ludwig 0 for 3, Stubbs 0 for 6, Cozart 0 for 3 against Gonzalez. Some pitchers you feel comfortable in the batter's box with. Gonzalez makes you feel uncomfortable.
The ball really explodes out of his hand. I mean, not like it does out of the hand of Aroldis Chapman, but still it's got action.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Setting up inside Ramos, and they get him. Scott strikes out for the 19th time this season. There's 1 away here in the second. That'll bring up Ludwig. Just as Davy Johnson's been searching for offense, so is Dusty Baker. I mean, Dusty and Davy both have put together these first 2 months based on pitching more than anything else. The Reds come in just about even Steven with the Nationals offensively. They're 11th and 12th in the league offensively and in terms of average. Both right around 237. And Dusty's tried to mix and match in left, and Ryan Ludwig gets the start here tonight. Ludwig, Chris Heisey, Todd Frazier all getting time in left, just as Davies had to shuffle his outfield due to injuries, and Davy Johnson is hopeful of getting Michael Morse back in time for interleague play next month. Morse, who hit over 300 last year as the first baseman on the Nationals club. The Reds would love to get this guy on court, Chris, because if Ryan Ludwig gets it rolling, he comes up with key hits.
Well, he does, and right now he's just kind of struggling to find it. So what Dusty Baker has done is played Ludwig one day, Heisey the next, then Ludwig and Heisey, and trying to figure out which guy is going to get hot.
Here's the 2-0. Tries to hold on it, doesn't, and it's 2-1.
So you see the repertoire, and it's a rather simple repertoire that Gonzalez has. There's a fastball, 92 to 94, sometimes harder than that, and action on it. He's got a big breaking ball. We haven't seen too many of those at all yet. He'll probably break that out the second or third time through the lineup. and he's thrown some pretty good changeups at 84. So there's about a 10-mile-an-hour difference, which is ideal.
Big swing, and it's 2-2. Ludwig has 3 homers and 11 knocked in. One of those homers got Mike Leake off to a big lead early, the grand slam in Washington, when Leake had a 5-0 lead. The lead evaporated. Nationals tied it, and the Reds finally won that game in extra innings, 8-5. Two. Hopped up right side, going back, heading to the seats, and it'll be out of play.
So now Ludwig is timing it just a little bit better. The first fastball on a 2-1 count blew it right by him upstairs. He was a day late. That time he was just a little bit late, fouled it almost straight back. So now if you're Gonzalez or you're Wilson Ramos, you're thinking, all right, well, now he's getting his timing down. Do we want to risk throwing another fastball right here, or do we change up on him? Of course, that same thought is probably going through the mind of Ryan Ludwig. But you can't protect against everything. Not when a guy's throwing as hard as Gio Gonzalez is.
A lot of weapons for this left-hander. Here's the 2-2.
Ball 3, but that was nasty.
Tough to lay off that
I mean,
one.
that broke from the left-handed batter's box to the right-handed batter's box. I guess it never crossed the zone.
Full count, 3-2. And he got him with a ball. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 away. Hey, right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, Zach Jackson has 5 objectives for the Bengals to complete to reach their goals. Plus, you can chat with Hall of Famer Hal McCoy during tonight's game in our in-game Connect feature. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Bengals free agents and draft choices in town working out.
Hope they gave the night off so they could wander over to the ballpark.
I think a few probably did. Here's Devin, first at bat for him. And at 244, he's got a homer and 3 knocked in. Mesoraco hitting in the 8th spot. Leake due to bat next. A lot was made of the brilliant season Devin had last year at AAA for Rick Sweet. Came up end of the year, had a very impressive tail end of the season with the Reds up here. And the one thing, Chris, that you didn't know until you saw him every day was how much he would work at his craft. But it's pretty obvious that he works hard at learning his pitchers. He works hard at trying to figure out how to be a major league catcher. It takes time.
Baseball's his life. I mean, he has really dedicated himself ever since he signed a contract, probably even before that. And it's not easy. It's not easy breaking in as a major leaguer. It's even tougher when you break in as a catcher.
One ball, 2 strikes. I mean, even when I'm not with the club, I'll watch you and Tom do a ball game, and I'll watch on the bench. And Devin's sitting there with Brian Price, or he's sitting there with Brian Hannigan between innings. He's sitting at the top of the dugout steps watching what's going on. You don't always see guys doing that. It's a good guy to sit next to right there, Hannigan.
Problem is he can't do that. One of them's got to catch.
Missing upstairs. Full count, 3-2. Reds trying to get something going offensively. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Nationals. No runs and a hit for the Reds. The lone hit for Cincinnati, a Jay Bruce double here in the second, and he's still sitting out at second base.
Well, if you have to get so long, I would figure that Gonzalez is going to throw a fastball here. He hasn't thrown a breaking ball for a strike yet.
Got him after the double. He strikes out the side. 3 strikeouts in the inning. Still 4-0. LaRoche due up, and we return. poll of the night. What's your favorite Cincinnati tourist attraction? Is it Kings Island, Reds baseball, the Cincinnati Zoo, Newport Aquarium, or the Cincinnati Museum Center? Text either 12345 to 37664. Normal messaging rates apply. We'll show the results later in the broadcast. A lot to choose from right there, and a lot to choose from, Linda, around the Cincinnati area. We're very pleased to welcome back to our broadcast booth Linda Antis, the CEO and president of Cincinnati USA. What tremendous work that you guys do. What a fantastic job you're doing.
Well, you know, they say that if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life, right? And it's a wonderful job.
Unbelievable where you come in. I go around the country and you talk to people. They are so envious of what you've put together here and the way you make it come alive in Cincinnati.
That's right. Well, you know, we couldn't do it without our friends here at the Reds. We love the Reds. We love the organization. And all summer long, we really leverage and talk to the people in the television and radio audiences.
I'm lucky, Chris, because usually it's you and Tommy get to talk to Linda, but finally I get a chance to come in here.
Well, you lucked out this year, George. I tell you, maybe they arranged it like that because we wanted to make sure that Linda got to meet everyone. You met the handsome Tom Brenneman last year. Now you have the gorgeous George Grand sitting next to you.
That'll get
and the hunky Chris, right?
Linda, unbelievable. I mean, you look around the ballpark tonight, big crowd all weekend long. We expect crowds of over 30,000, and it's just another example. I'm walking around downtown today with the conventions that are in town. It's bounce back time, and that's a foul ball down the first baseline. Bounce back time for the Cincinnati area, isn't it?
That's right. It's a really once in a lifetime kind of year. There's so many exciting things that we can see. I mean, step outside the ballpark and you see what's going on with the banks. Look across the river at the wonderful Newport on the Levee area. Our buddy Jim Day, who does our vignettes on Fox, he's been visiting some of these wonderful places that sort of got this excellent vote as one of the top 3 places to visit in 2012. Huh? Pretty special.
I'm amazed that finally you're getting Jim Day to learn something. In school, it was difficult to get him to hit the books, but he's learning more about Cincinnati than he ever did before. Didn't you, J.D.?
Is it fair to call Jim Day Mr. CincinnatiUSA.com?
I would say that's a very fair way to describe him, because he is. He's really bringing to life all these exciting things that Lonely Planet cited is some of the reasons we're one of the top 3 places to come to in 2012. So, hello, television audience. You got to book your trip. And
there's a lot of big things coming. One that I'm particularly interested in and intrigued by, the World Choir Games.
Yes.
And the package that you have on the website. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, it is really the peak and the highlight of what is once in a lifetime. It is the Choir Games celebration of international harmony through music. So people who will come from 60 countries around the world will perform in 23 categories of choral performance all around our city, all around our region. There'll be very special celebration concerts.
This one hit deep to right. Forget it. That's going to be a home run for Danny Espinosa, and a walk and a homer here in the 3rd. Put 2 more on the board for Washington, and they lead it 6-0.
And tens of thousands of visitors from all around the world will come and be welcomed here to Cincinnati, USA.
Will they sing any sad songs?
Never.
The kind that you would sing to a pitcher that just gave up a home run?
Never sad songs. But the performances will be very unique. And our packages will really give you the top taste of the premier parts of this celebration. That's 2 weeks, July 4th through 14th. And so check out CincinnatiUSA.com, the brand new World Choir Games packages available right now at CincinnatiUSA.com.
For Espinosa, that's his 2nd homer of the year, and that'll bring up Rick Ankiel. 6-0 Washington leads it. For us, it's always great to be around downtown when Taste of Cincinnati rolls by, and we go all over the country. You go to Chicago, you go to San Francisco, everybody has it, but ours is very special.
It is very special, and people do come from out of town and from all over the region to celebrate the taste of Cincinnati, absolutely. And there's some wonderful new tastes that are right outside our door here at Great American Ballpark. At the banks with all those new wonderful restaurants, new restaurants downtown. There are so many exciting things for people to make the trip and enjoy all of the new excitement around coming for the Reds and staying for more fun.
I like that That tagline, maybe you should use that.
Here's Ankiel, a slicing pop into center. That'll drop for a base hit. So another 2-hit inning, and there's 2 in, a base hit, still only 1 away here in the 3rd, and that'll bring up Wilson Ramos. We continue to visit with Linda Antis. Linda, you know, when you mentioned the Banks area, for so long we heard about the Banks project, but to walk down there now on opening day, to walk out of the ballpark and see all the activity in downtown Cincinnati again, it was kind of a throwback to the days of the Big Red Machine era.
Absolutely.
The days of when people used to be downtown. They're coming back, aren't they?
They sure are. And in fact, it's so wonderful that the Hall of Fame has that exhibit, because it does bring back that whole legacy that's connected to our wonderful Reds. But you feel the energy. You just walk between the buildings and you see the people lined up to have fun. But it's right here. It's all organic. It's all happening. And look at over the Rhine. Look at all of this beautiful area that we call Cincinnati, USA. I mean, we really are a world-class destination.
And you talk about, I mean, Cincinnati, of course, known as the Queen City. Cincinnati, an area that for so many years has had a great feeling of community. And it's so great to see young people move to Cincinnati. And when you talk to chambers of commerce around the country, there's no more active under 30 organizationally constructed groups than we have here in Cincinnati. It's a great place to be young and be around the area.
It is. It's very much a great place. And we just found out, too, that Forbes voted our area top as a place to raise a family. So we have all these wonderful accolades. And we always say at the Tourism Network, it's a great place to visit. You might want to live, work, and stay here. So there are great things to visit for. For instance, our family attractions this year, the zoo, the aquarium, the museum center, Kings Island, they all have brand new product, brand new fun things to do.
You know, Linda, I would take my kids to the museum all the time because the exhibits would change, and it's just a terrific museum anyway. Tell us what's going on there right now with the Pompeii exhibit.
Absolutely, the Pompeii exhibit. I've actually visited that 3 times, and I've never been to Italy to see the real area. But it's a stunning exhibit. It's awe-inspiring. You learn so much about the culture of the people. They were architecturally so advanced. There are films. There are 250 genuine artifacts that give you a sense of this moment in time when Vesuvius literally preserved the city of Pompeii.
Jim told me it was 79 AD, right?
79 AD. Absolutely. Jim knows. He definitely knows.
Well, he knows one other thing is how to get half-price Reds tickets.
Okay.
Now, that's the deal. And I know so many people out there who are watching us around the outskirts of Reds country. How do you do that?
Well, you go to CincinnatiUSA.com. That's the region's largest travel portal. It's the portal that we stock full of wonderful, exciting experiences to learn about. And this year, we're going to have a dozen of your favorite attractions packages that you book with a hotel.
Gonzalez retired, and that'll end the inning, but the Nationals come back with a couple more. They lead at 6-0. Linda, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for all you do for the Cincinnati area. Continued success to you.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thanks,
back with more after this. That's the sound that Chris Welsh loves more than anything else.
I got that right.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Hey, Reds fans, if a Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game, Laura Walters from Bethel, a proud owner of a 2011 Corolla, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Jesse still hasn't been able to drive that off there, huh?
He's tried. He's filled the trunk, so it's ready to go at any moment. Or I should say the bed.
Here's Mike Leake to lead it off as we go to the bottom of 3. 6 runs, 7 hits for the Nationals. They lead it 6-0. So Leake will lead it off. There is action in the Cincinnati bullpen, as there was at the end of the inning. Simon loosening. Reds have had 2 base runners, a Joey Votto walk in the first, a leadoff double by Bruce in the second. Both were left stranded. Leak disposed of, and that's 4 straight strikeouts for Gio Gonzalez. And Chris, this is a starting staff and a bullpen that strikes out as many as anybody in the league. Gio Gonzalez averages over 10 strikeouts per 9.
Which for a starting pitcher is just amazing. I mean, you just don't see that number all that often, and he must really love being over here in the National League. And he seems to be getting stronger here the second time through, at least now that he's had a couple of innings under his belt. Get the rhythm out there a little bit, working faster. Reds made contact in the first inning. He did not strike out a batter. He struck out the side last inning, and he struck out Leake to start this inning.
He averages 10.1 strikeouts per 9, and Steven Strasburg, his teammate, is tops in the league, averaging 10.4. Strasburg struck out 13 in their game last night.
I'll tell you, just the combination that Gonzalez has is that fastball you saw right there and the changeup that he throws about 83 or 84. That's enough. But he also has one of the best curveballs around.
Every time you turn around and look, you're at 2 strikes. Ozark fly to center first time up, and let's make it 5 in a row. 5 straight Reds down on strikes, all of them swinging, and there's your second out. Starts with pitching, doesn't it?
Well, it starts and ends with pitching if you're Davey Johnson. It has this pitching staff. Steven Strasburg, as you said, George, last night, 13 punch outs. He can throw it around 100 when he wants to. Gio Gonzalez has been lights out. Ross Detweiler, big, tall left-hander. He is just coming into his own now. Jordan Zimmerman having a great year, and Edwin Jackson, who pitched a dandy of a game against the Reds when we were in D.C. I mean, that's a pitching staff right there. The Davey Johnson, you know, heard some cackles when he said over the spring training that, hey, I'm going to have the best starting pitching in all of Major League Baseball. And people said, oh, wait a minute, you probably don't even have the best starting pitching in your division. And people would look to the Philadelphia Phillies. So right now, their starting pitchers and the Philadelphia Phillies starting pitchers are very close in how good they are. Now, whether they can sustain it all year long, no one knows that yet, but they are off to a terrific start.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Stubbs, who bounced to short first time up. Just missing on the outside corner.
Good night. Wow.
6 straight. 6-0 Washington. As coverage of the Reds with you this season, subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Well, Mike Leake's night is done. He goes 3 innings and allows 6 runs on 7 hits. He will exit. And Alfredo Simon will come in to take over as we go to the 4th, with the Reds hoping to slam the door right where it is and find a way to come up with some runs as we go from here. Here's Simon.
This is really why Alfredo Simon is on this ball club, because he can be a guy that can come in and pitch an inning, an extra inning game, or even a tight ball game. He's got very good stuff where you can stretch him out. He's only pitched in now 10 ball games overall. Pitched twice on the last road trip, once in Pittsburgh, once in Milwaukee. Fastball, curveball, and a split finger pitch. And right now it's all about throwing zeros on the board if you're Simon. You may say, oh, this is just mop-up work right here, but there's a lot of game left. May not seem like that with the way Gio Gonzalez is throwing the ball, but you never know what can happen.
Desmond gets his 2nd hit, another bouncer through the middle of the infield for a base hit. He led off the 1st with a single, scored on the Bernardino home run. And here he leads off the 4th with a base hit. 6 runs in this park isn't a lot, Chris. You can make those up if you can just find a way to slam the door to start.
Well, you have to slam the door first, and you might have to figure out a way to get a runner to, or a batter to put the bat on the ball against Gio Gonzalez. He doesn't show signs of walking anybody, and the Reds don't show signs of making contact.
There's Bernardino, much like Adam LaRoche in Washington last month against the Reds. He's been a one-man wrecking crew. A homer, a 2-run shot in the 1st, and a run-scoring single in the 2nd. He's accounted for 3 of the 6 runs. High in the air to center. Stubbs will have room this time. Runner tagging, and will slam on the brakes as the throw is perfect to second. You've got 4 of the best arms in the National League in the outfield here in this series. Drew Stubbs, outstanding in center. So is Jay Bruce. And Rick Ankiel and Harper both have brilliant throwing arms for the Nationals. In fact, when the Nationals had Ankiel in center, Harper in left, and Worth in right, I mean, you talked about maybe the best set of arms in the league. Worth now on the disabled list after breaking his wrist, diving for a catch, and he's out for 10 to 12 weeks. Here's Zimmerman, walked and struck out. Can this Nationals team hang in there all year in the East, Chris?
That's a good question, George, but their pitching looks like it will keep them there. One question you have to ask is how many innings will they put on Steven Strasburg? Because the Nationals saying they face the same dilemma the Reds face with Aroldis Chapman. Strasburg's never been stretched out to a 200-inning year, so do you take that kind of chance with, you know, your franchise type player? And the Reds have decided that they will not do that, at least push him to the point where he's going to throw too many innings this year. That's one reason why he's in the bullpen right now, to kind of curtail the number of innings he puts on his arm before he's able to build it up over a period of a couple of years.
Strasburg is coming off Tommy John surgery last year, and really Jordan Zimmerman fits in that category too. This is his 2nd year after arm surgery, so you wonder, will they be at their best come August and September when you need them the most? It'd be very difficult to lose either one of them by cutting back their innings. That's in the dirt. It'll kick all the way to the backstop, and the runners will advance. So 2nd and 3rd. That erases the chance for the double play. A wild pitch allowing the runners to advance. Simon susceptible to that. His wild pitch in Washington cost the Reds dearly.
Well, he really tightens it up a little bit with a man on third base, too.
Infield in for the Reds. Popped up left side. Is there going to be room? Rolling over at the edge of the seats, and it'll be 3 rows deep.
You bring up a great point there, George, with a runner on third base, and he knows that he was in D.C. and he wild pitched that run in, and that was the ball game. Well, if you're Adam LaRoche, you're thinking, all right, this guy's a fastball, mainly split finger pitcher. And that split finger pitch is the one that he just threw to the backstop to advance the runner. So LaRoche is thinking he's probably not going to throw me another one of those with a runner at third base. So I'm geared up for a fastball in this at bat.
1 ball, 1 strike. Reds infielders, edge of the grass again.
Here comes a splitter, though.
Drops in there for a strike, 1 and 2.
A splitter is essentially a fastball that you take and you, whether you throw it 2 seams or 4 seams, you split your fingers, and it fingers right in there between your index finger and your middle finger. Comes in a little slower. A lot of pitchers use it as a changeup.
Lined in the right. That'll drop for a hit, and a run will score. LaRoche picks up another run batted in. His 2nd of the night. And his 8th run batted in against the Reds this year.
Well, tried to sneak the fastball by him, and I really believe in this at bat that LaRoche is looking heater all the way.
10 hits for the Nationals now. And they lead at 7-0.
Well, this is a team that came into this ball game hitting .237. And our Performance Honda Exmo shows a pretty good swing by the veteran Adam LaRoche to drive in the 7th run of this game.
And here's Harper, strikeout and a fly ball out.
This kid's probably so anxious to get into the hitting act, he may just swing at anything. Other than a pitcher, he's the only guy in the lineup without a base hit.
Rick Eckstein, the hitting coach in Washington, saying exactly that before the game today. Yes, he's been brilliant, but he's still only 19, and people have tested him every way you can in the first couple of weeks, and he's become a little over anxious, swinging at pitches he didn't the first week.
Well, just think about the pressure that's on Harper that is not on another young player coming up out of the minor leagues. I mean, he's been heralded ever since he was chosen by the Nationals in the draft. He has a little impromptu media session everywhere he goes the first day in, and they crowd the media all over the place. When he was first called up from the minor leagues to meet the team in Los Angeles, a lot of the reporters that didn't normally follow the Nationals around and on their regular beat, they all flew out to L.A. just for that conference with Bryce Harper. So he is the man when it comes to media attention in D.C. right now.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Harper.
Even in election year.
And he got him. Harper strikes out for the 2nd time.
The off-speed pitch, that one is a breaking ball. And they've got him a couple of times on a breaking ball. Leake got a strikeout in the 1st inning on a backdoor breaking ball that he looked at and got him swinging that time.
We had him on our USA Baseball under-18 national team, and the coaches, Paul Seiler, the president of USA Baseball, he's already congratulated him on coming to the major leagues, and the members of the coaching staff from day one said this kid is something special, and he'll have his bumpy roads, but he's shown everybody already what his potential is. Well, Simon gets out of the jam, but finally, after giving up a run, it's 7-0 Washington as we go to the bottom of 4th.
by Gio Gonzalez, our Mazda pitch by pitch. He does it on fastballs, the first 5. 2. There's a third one, Mesoraco. See ya. He's blow it by Mike Leake. No problem there. Adds 2 more, and just for good measure, he finally got Drew Stubbs and pulled the string on a changeup.
He's got the complete package.
6 punch outs in a row.
Well, here's Joey Votto to lead it off in the 4th. Votto walked in the first, one of only 2 Reds base runners. He walked with 2 outs in the first, was left stranded. In the second, Bruce doubled, and that's the last base runner the Reds have had after that 6 straight strikeouts. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Reds first baseman.
You know it's not really happening, but it looks like, at least on my monitor, that the ball is rising out of his hand. It's kind of like the ball that Aroldis Chapman throws. It doesn't actually rise, but it gives you the impression that it rises because your eyes seem to track a ball and you naturally think it's going to sink a little bit, but it just doesn't sink as much as other guys.
Electric stuff. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And he's in a hurry too. He's not messing around on the mound. I mean, he gets it and goes. He's in a hurry to get on CincinnatiUSA.com. Find out what else is going on.
I'll have to send Jim out to get him lost somewhere.
You're not kidding.
Full count 3-2. That's a bouncer. Espinosa, the backhand flip, won't be in time, and Joey will have a base hit. Well, the string of strikeouts ends at 6. That is 1 shy of the franchise record of 7 in a row set by Tyler Clippard. You mentioned it, Chris. You know, you talk whether it's Joey Votto or Ryan Braun against the best pitching. You know, you can get hits. And you look at numbers. Numbers will tell you one story, but who gets hits and who spoils the best pitches from the best pitchers? Well, and Votto and Braun do that.
It's a great point, George, because after having 6 strikeouts in a row, here you get Joey Votto up there, and he's the guy that makes contact. And sometimes when you face a guy that's throwing hard, the inclination for a hitter is to try to swing hard. But the harder you swing, actually, the slower your bat is. So rather than swing hard, you swing short. And that's what Joey Votto did. Shortened his swing, was able to put the bat on the ball, and found a little hole in the infield to get a base hit.
1 strike to Brandon, who bounced into a fielder's choice first time up. Yeah, Chris, you talk a lot about, you know, who's hot and who's hitting on a ball club, and you can't get away from slumps. People have slumps, but that doesn't mean that you can't execute. If you get a runner on, move a runner over, sacrifice, or get a ball to the right side. For instance, Bruce led off the second with a double. The Reds never even got him off second. So it's not just hitting, it's executing to find a way to get runners in scoring position. And these are 2 teams that have had difficulty doing that.
Well, you're right. I mean, they've scratched and clawed for runs because they have been unable to get their offense on track. But, you know, that's the theme around baseball right now, especially in the National League, where scoring is way down, batting averages are down, power numbers are down. And you see more and more pitchers with earned run averages to begin with 1 than you have in a long time.
In the dirt, good block by Ramos.
Now, what Gonzalez hasn't really done is backed up 1 breaking ball with another, meaning he hasn't thrown more than 1 in a row. So when he misses like that in the dirt, so far anyway, what he has thrown on the next pitch has been a fastball. And he does it again there. I mean, sometimes you think along with the pitcher, sometimes you think along with the catcher. And if you see your pitcher out there shaking off a lot of signs, you think along with that guy. If you see him out there taking the sign that the catcher gives him, and he doesn't do any shaking of his head, then you think along with the catcher.
Sometimes you think along and sometimes you talk along, as he's talking to himself.
There goes Votto in the dirt. He'll be in there with his second stolen base of the season. So Joey's in scoring position. If nobody's going to move him over, he'll get over himself.
I think that's a great time to do that because he threw breaking ball in the dirt, fastball foul back by Phillips, and you had to figure that when Phillips had that swing, maybe Ramos, the catcher, thought, well, he's getting on it a little bit. Now we're going to throw him a breaking ball again. And he happened to bounce it. Perfect time for Votto to take second base.
Full count, 3-2. That's a base hit. Joey had to hold, and they'll hold him at third. Votto had to make sure it went through. It was within the distance of the second baseman Espinosa, so he held for that instant, and down by 7 runs. He stops at third, and it's first and third.
Yeah, he could have been running on a pitch, and they probably would have held him up anyway because Bryce Harper out there has a plus arm, and this guy's coming up with the ball thinking, man, oh man, here I'm going to get a chance to show it off. But as it turns out, Votto holds the third on the corners, and Jay Bruce unjams one right here. You have a little different shift in momentum.
Well, here's Bruce, who doubled to right center field his first time up in the second. That's a strike. Jay's the only Red in this lineup with more than 1 hit in his career against Gonzalez. He has 2 now and is 2 for 4 against him in their previous matchups. And the air to center. It will stay in the park. Votto will tag. So will Phillips. There goes Phillips. He'll slam on the brakes. Joey will score easily. Perfect throw from Ankiel. But a sacrifice fly from Bruce. That's his 24th run batted in. And the Reds are on the board. It's 7-1. Little things. Infield hit by Joey. A stolen base. He goes to third on the base hit by Phillips and the sacrifice fly. That's execution, and the Reds have a run.
Well, that is one heck of an arm they've got in center field and Rich Ankiel. I know that Bryce Harper's got a nice arm, but you've got to show me an arm better than Ankiel.
It was right on the money. A perfect strike to second. Here's Roland, struck out first time up. And statistics can be misleading. There are some of the best defensive outfielders with the best arms over the years don't necessarily lead the league in throwing out runners because nobody runs on them. But even knowing the arm that Ankiel has, he still is always one of the league leaders.
Yeah, you're right. And it's always a little tougher, I think, for a center fielder than it is the corner outfielders because more often than not, they're going to their right or their left to field the ball, then come up throwing.
You played for this franchise back in the 80s, 83 when you were in Montreal, Chris, and that was an era where they had some big guns in the outfield.
Ellis Valentine was known at that time for having the best arm of the generation. Then when I played for the Reds a few years later, Dave Parker was out in right field. Parkway could wow you with that arm.
Andre Dawson patrolled and threw well too. Outstanding.
Of course, Larry Walker was once a Montreal Expo.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Roland. So the Reds finally get a run. They trail at 7-1. And oh, by the way, Joel Luckup tells us it's the first earned run the Reds have scored on Gio in 17 innings against them this year, huh?
Always the bearer of good news.
Yeah. Great to have you with us up in the booth. Joel doing stats for us. Jesse Jackson up with us. Down in the truck. Great to have Josh Hall with us. Roy Alfers is punching the buttons as our director. Lauren White as usual. Matt Sigafus pre and post game activity. And Kevin Pennewitt as well. Taking Matt's role during the game as Dream Weaver has the night off. Glad you're with us, and glad you're watching Reds baseball. Hopefully the Reds can find a way to get back into this one. Here's the 2-2 to Rolen. Locked him up, waves at it, and he strikes out for the second time, second out of the inning. Tonight's Ohio Lottery Mega Millions jackpot is now worth $16 million. Drawing is at 11 o'clock tonight. $16 million. Get your tickets, yes. Here's Ludwig. Rolen became the first of the 6 straight strikeout victims, and Ludwig became number 2 back in the second. 7th strikeout of the night for Gio Gonzalez. The starting staff for the Nationals will bring the fastest fastballs as a staff in the league. I mean, Strasburg, Gonzalez are 1 and 3 in the league, and you add Rodriguez to that, who's right at Aroldis Chapman range, about 98 miles an hour. Last year, each of their fastballs averaged around 98 miles an hour. That's one part of the package, but Strasburg and Gonzalez, Zimmerman, they pitch. They just don't throw. I mean, Gonzalez is right around 92. Zimmerman's right around 92. Strasburg's around 94, 95.
Now, the problem with these guys, if they throw strikes, is that you just can't sit and be patient and get them out of the ball game by the 5th or 6th inning because of their pitch count. If you do that, you're down 0-2, and that's the last thing you want to do against a pitching staff like the Nationals, is be down 0-2 with the kind of stuff they have. It's okay when you have a contact pitcher, you're down 0-2. You're still going to make contact with the ball in play and so on. But when you're facing a strikeout staff, it's like facing Johnny Cueto. You don't want to get down 0-2 to a guy like that.
Well, here's Mesoraco. He struck out back in the second, 0 for 1. 2 on, 2 out for the Reds. Here's the 1 strike to the Reds catcher. Down and in. Now, one mistake here in this game could look a little different. Mesoraco fully capable of planting one into the seats for this crowd of over 30,000 here tonight. Here's a 1-1. In under the hands, and that's 1-2. Gas at 93. That's strikeout number 8. The Reds get a run on a sacrifice fly from Bruce. They trail at 7-1. JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For over 30 Toyota offers available now, visit buyatoyota.com, including mobile. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Picture perfect night for baseball at Great American Ballpark. The scoreboard not picture perfect for the Reds thus far. 7 runs, 10 hits for the Nationals. A run and only 3 hits for Cincinnati. Here we go to the top of the 5th. Rick Ankiel drills one off the glove, and a good effort by the pitcher Simon, and an outstanding effort by Votto to get the out. Ankiel doesn't believe it, and I don't know that Joey believes it either.
How did that happen?
That's amazing.
I mean, this ball is a rocket shot. It hits the bag on this first hop. And Votto, bare hand.
Great job.
A lob pass. And the slam at first base by Alfredo Simon, our performance Honda slow-mo.
Only way they could do it was to bare hand and get it to Simon. Give Simon credit for getting over there.
Well,
give Joey credit for not giving up on it.
Exactly, because Simon, once as a pitcher, once you see the ball at the bag like that, your first reaction is to stop. And he just kept going over there.
So Ankiel retired, and here's the catcher Ramos. Wilson singled and bounced out 1 for 2. The pitcher Gonzalez due up next. Night game tonight. Don't forget tomorrow Mataletos will get the ball, going for his 3rd win against Jordan Zimmerman. We'll be on the air with the Reds live at 6:30. Game will follow. Then Sunday, an afternoon affair. Join us for Mother's Day. That's a strikeout for Simon. Simon's 2nd in his 2 innings of work. 2 away, and here's Gonzalez. And now here's your chance to win a Fox Sports Ohio Meyer prize pack. Text Meyer to 37664 to be entered. Good luck. And the results for our Myers text poll from today. Where do you want to go? Show it to you one more time. Kings Island, the Reds, the Zoo, the Aquarium, or the Museum Center. Are you surprised at those results, Jesse? Jesse voted for the museum. He and Ann go to the museum at least twice a week. Ann takes you there, doesn't she?
That's where he gets artifacts from his trunk.
Here's Gonzalez. Sacrificed successfully and struck out. Shows bunt, fouls it back, and it's 2-2.
Gonzalez a rare breed in as much as he throws left-handed and hits right-handed. Usually it's the other way around, kind of like Ryan Ludwig, same way. Throws lefty, bats righty. He likes that button thing.
A Ricky Henderson lookalike. Not quite. Reds going to work. Pitcher spot due up next.
It's broadcast here on Fox Sports Ohio for Reds Live. In-depth features, interviews with the players, and your first look at the lineup each day. It's Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you, and Sunday, of course, is Mother's Day. And for the 7th year, Louisville Slugger will be bringing the pink bats. Some of the players will be using pink bats in the game on Sunday. And they have upped the ante this year. They want to get the fans involved. Of course, this is to benefit MLB breast cancer charities, but they're also having a scavenger hunt. It's the Hot Pink Bat Hunt. And what you do, Reds fans, go onto Facebook, like the Louisville Slugger page on Facebook, or follow @SluggerNation on Twitter for clues to find your very own pink bat. What they're going to do is they're going to have 15 bats in the greater Cincinnati area. It includes northern Kentucky. And they're going to give you clues. It'll start at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And again, 15 hot pink Mother's Day bats are going to be found throughout the greater Cincinnati area. Get your clues on Facebook and Twitter, and you can get one of these bad boys that I am holding right now. And this is a very special model right here, because on it, someone pulled some strings, because George Graham, this says Chris Welsh on it right here.
That's big time.
So what are you doing with it?
Chris has been looking for that all night.
Not kidding.
Here's Miguel Cairo pinch hitting. He'll pop this one down the line into the corner. He'll round first, go to second. So Cairo gets a leadoff 2-base hit for the Reds. JD, by the way, before you leave, what did happen in 79 AD?
Well, Pompeii, they had a volcano went off, and the volcanic ash covered up the city of Pompeii. And it was restored, or it was actually preserved, for many, many centuries. And then they went down and dug it out, and many, many artifacts came up, and they're on display over here at the Union Terminal, the Museum Center at Union Terminal, George.
How's that? Pretty good.
You know what? That guy has done either he has done his homework or he remembers a whole lot more than we do from history class.
Good job, JD.
Great job.
And by the way, Jesse said thanks for those artifacts he's got in the trunk of his car that you brought from the museum.
You got it. And Welsh is going to have to be nice to me to get this pink bat back.
We were going to put it into action tonight. The way the Reds' hits were so infrequent, we thought we may need it.
Here's Zach Cozart. Cozart flied out, struck out 0 for 2, trying to get the Reds rolling here in the 5th. Still plenty of time in the 5th inning. The Reds have been out hit 10-4. They trail at 7-1. Good to have Cairo back, Chris, after his stint on the disabled list with the hamstring pull.
I'll tell you, he is such a professional player. And here's a guy that went down on his rehab to Dayton in the Midwest League, single A, and went 0 for 10. And he comes right up here and he gets a base hit and he gets a double tonight. Talk about a player that's been around a long time and leads by example. He's rarely ever been a regular everyday player. He's always been a backup player with the exception of 1 or 2 seasons. He's on a second year of a 2-year deal. That 2-year deal was the first ever multi-year deal he ever had in his major league career, which is somewhere around, 14 years now.
Worked hard for it and deserved it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This one towards left, sink in front of Bernardino. It'll drop for a hit. Here comes Cairo around third. The good effort by Bernardino will hold Cozart to only a single, but the Reds pick up their second run on the run-scoring hit from Cozart.
You don't need to get them all back in 1 inning. You can chip away a little bit at a time. The weakness on this Nationals ball club is their bullpen. If you can get in there early, you can wear them out in the first game of a 3-game series. They had to cover several innings last night with their bullpen. Might be a little premature to be thinking about that right now, but you do have Gio Gonzalez sitting at 93 pitches, so not going to last forever.
Here's Drew. Stubbs grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. Cozart's run batted in his 8th of the season. They'll toss over to keep him close. Bounce back over the bag. Espinosa will get one on to second, but they won't get Stubbs this time.
Boy, they nearly got it, though. That is some kind of a double play combination they've got. Desmond made a great play against Drew Stubbs his first time up in the first inning, and they nearly turned a double play. Another backhanded cesta move by the second baseman, Danny Espinosa.
There's only 3 or 4 runners in the league that could beat that. Stubbs one of them.
I think I once bet on a highlight player named Danny Espinosa. He uses cesta just like that.
Diving back in is Drew. Where did all those highlight frontons go?
I don't know where they went. That was great, though.
Here's Joey. Votto walked his league-leading 28th walk in the first. Ended the string of 6 straight strikeouts with a base hit in the 4th, an infield hit. Stole a base, then scored later on a sacrifice fly by Jay Bruce to give the Reds their first run. That infield hit stretched his hitting streak to 6 straight.
Now, if you're thinking about how long Gio Gonzalez may stay in this ball game, he's right now at 97 pitches. Only once this year has he gone over 100 pitches. That was in his last start where he pitched 107. So he might be at the end of the leash.
Well, Tom Gorzolani is up and loosening in the bullpen, the former Pirate. That's a strike at the knees, 2-1. There's Jimmy Lett, the former Cincinnati Red operative. Lett spent so many years in the Reds organization. 40th year in baseball, and 24 of those with the Reds as a player, coach, manager, and now the bullpen coach in Washington. Joey had one there. Would love to get that one back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lett was saying before the game today that he cherishes all his years in the Cincinnati organization and is so happy that both Mark Berry and Mac Jenkins have made it to the major league staff. 2 guys who he tutored when he was a manager and later a coach in the Red system. Berry, the third base coach, Mac Jenkins, the assistant pitching coach. Full count, 3-2. Stubbs with 1 out will be off and running. That's ball 4. So Votto on base for the 3rd time, his 2nd walk of the night, and now it's 2 on for Brandon Phillips. And don't forget, this Saturday night, Fox Sports Ohio is airing live the Cincinnati Reds game and the Columbus Crew game at the same time. Check your main and alternate channels for both games. Locate your alternate channel number on foxsportsohio.com. Look for the channel finder and the program alert for all the information. Double dip Saturday night on Fox Sports Ohio. There's Steve McCaddy out to talk to his left-hander, trying to nurse him through the inning. At least they'll give him one more chance to do that. McCaddy was some kind of competitor when he pitched, Chris. I mean, in an era where, you know, the league leader will have 3 or 4 complete games, he'd normally throw up at 10, 11, 12. I think one year he had 16 complete games in a season.
Well, that team that he pitched for, of course, Billy Martin was managing him out in Oakland, and he wanted complete games out of every one of his starters. Rick Langford, Mike Norris. Who else was on that staff? I'm missing a big name.
Catfish.
Yeah.
Catfish was there early. Here's Brandon, 1 for 2, a single. Trying to get the Reds back in it with a big swing. It's a 7-2 deficit right now. Phillips robbed of a hit on a nice play by Espinosa in the first, and then singled to right in the 4th. That sent Votto to 3rd, and Joey later scored on the sacrifice from Jay Bruce. Brandon sitting on 2 homers and 10 knocked in. Stubbs, great speed out at 2nd. And Votto down at 1st. Left side of the infield shifted over towards the hole. The right side pulled towards 2nd, and Espinosa is trying to keep Stubbs close with the arms that the Nationals have. what would be an easy scoring base hit is not with Ankiel and Bryce Harper out there. So even Stubbs' great speed can be tested by these outfield arms. Two balls, one strike. Just a little high, and it's 3-1.
Well, that's the pitch that the Reds have been waiting at all night long, except for Joey Votto and Phillips.
Gonzalez from the stretch at 3-1, and we'll go full 3-2.
Good cut.
Greg Stammen has joined Borzolani in the bullpen for the Nationals. But you throw on 3-1, do you throw on 3-2?
He has all night long, almost exclusively thrown fastballs 3-2.
He does again, and it's fouled off.
Now, he doesn't want to walk Brandon Phillips to load the bases. If he does that, he's almost guaranteed to be pulled from the game. He wants to finish this inning, no doubt about it.
I mean, McCaddy's given him a chance to be the winning pitcher.
I mean, it's remarkable that he is struggling to get through the fifth inning as dominant as he has been tonight. He's not yet qualified for the win.
McCaddy trying to nurse him through. The Reds trying to break through. 3-2 with one out. There go the runners. That's up high, ball 4.
And the first thing he does is look in the dugout to see if Davey Johnson's moved off his chair. Well, he's off his chair, but he hasn't moved up the stairs.
Well, here comes Jay. The bullpen is ready. Davey will give him one last reprieve. Let's see if the Reds can cash in and turn this one around. Jay, one grand slam for his career. This year, 1 for 3 with the bases loaded.
Be ready for the first one you see right here. Oh, it's a breaking ball. How about that?
No place to put him. Ball 1.
Guaranteed fastball coming up.
Back and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. After spending most of last year down around 200 against left-handers, you see Stubbs on third, Votto on second, and Phillips on first. Jay Bruce this year is in tonight at 269 against left-handers and over 300 against right-handers. Just trying to stay in the middle of the field and put a good swing on it. Here's the 1-1. Trying to slap that one the other way, and it's 1-2. Dusty's got his guy up there. The sacrifice fly by Bruce in the 4th is 24th run batted into the season, leading the Reds. High pitch count for Gonzalez for the season. And he got it. Now they reach back for that one and gets the second out of the inning.
Well, he climbed the ladder, and that's the pitch that it's awfully hard to lay off of, but it's out of the strike zone. And if you do swing at it, it's even harder to make contact with. You have to have a faster bat to get to that high pitch than you do the low pitch.
So Bruce is retired. Second out of the inning, and here comes Scott. Gonzalez has handled Rolen twice tonight. 0 for 2 strikeouts. That's foul back.
That would make him 0 for 10, so he's handled him his whole career. He does have an ongoing conversation with himself. The disturbing thing is that he's answering it.
No argument, though. 1 strike to Rolen. In the air to right, curving. It'll be in the seats and out of play. Well, Gonzalez was on the precipice, but now with a strikeout of Bruce and 2 strikes on Rolen, he's 1 pitch away from getting out of the jam.
Well, on 2 previous at bats when he struck out Scott Rolen, once on a 1-2 fastball, once on a 2-2 curveball. So Rolen's really not sure what to look for here. Shorten up and make contact.
Hopped up. Is there going to be room? Ramos over. Zimmerman calling. He's got it, and the Reds will strand 3 in the 5th. So Gonzalez survived the onslaught. The Reds strand 3. They trail 7-2. For your chance to win a VIP experience for 2 this year at an MLB World Series game. Presented by Scotts, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. And don't forget, Kroger and the Reds are proud to team up to offer you a great value this season. The Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger Meal Deal, which includes a full-size adult hot dog, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, kettle potato chips. Make sure you get your Kroger Meal Deal today. Or, as Jesse Jackson would call that, the breakfast of champions. 7 runs, 10 hits for Washington. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Reds. The Reds have stranded 6 in their best opportunity of the night in the 5th by the board. So on a night where Mike Leake started, went 3 innings, allowed 7 hits and 6 runs and struck out 2. Alfredo Simon came in, pitched 2 innings, 3 hits and a run. Here's J.J. Hoover. He's pitched well for this club, Chris.
Well, they got him on April Fool's Day, and they had him down in the minor leagues at AAA. David Bell gave reports to the big leagues that this guy was just dominating down there. So when they needed a pitcher, they called on J.J. Hoover, and he's yet to give up a crooked number in the run column. I'd like to keep that going right here, because even though they're down by 5, I get the sense the Reds are in this game. Just the shift of momentum last inning, the good chance that we've seen the last of Gio Gonzalez, and maybe you can do some damage against that Washington bullpen.
Slice to right. Bruce just about in his tracks. Will haul it in. So Ian Desmond is retired. 2 for 4 for Desmond. 2 singles. Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. That's JTM. Chris, you get your delivery this summer from JTM?
I am still waiting, George.
You got the freezer ready for it?
I know Tony Moss will take care of me, though. I think.
Did you get the bigger freezer this year?
Well, I didn't need it last year either.
Slice to center.
Or the year before. The year before that.
Or the year before that.
I'm wondering if maybe you intercepted those deliveries, George.
It's your good friend, Jesse. 4 pitches, 2 away, and here's Zimmerman. I tell you, Chris, when you look at what transpired with the Reds this spring, Ryan Madson, their projected closer, goes down, and they've spent most of this first 2 months of the season without Bill Bray, without Nick Massett. To rebuild his bullpen, Walt Jocarty and his trusted staff did a tremendous job in getting Simon, getting Hoover. That's a bloop into right, a base hit for Zimmerman, a 2-out base hit. And it's produced the #1 bullpen in the league. And putting Chapman back in. I mean, their goal was to keep Chapman in the rotation, if not at the major league level, then at AAA, and have him ready. But when you lose the players that they lost in the month of March, you needed to keep Chapman in the bullpen, and it's been a bullpen that has been second to none in the league.
Yeah, and you had nobody who you could bump out the rotation who you would be confident enough to be anywhere near what Aroldis Chapman has been in the bullpen. So you're trying to make the team starter or stronger. Obviously, yes, in the long run, you probably want to develop Aroldis Chapman as a starter. But he's been so lights out of the bullpen, I'm sure that there's somebody in that baseball operation who's thinking, hey, well, maybe he would be a good closer. No guarantee you're going to get Madsen next year.
One strike to LaRoche, who's 2 for 2 in a walk.
And that's really the debate that happens in baseball department boardrooms all throughout the United States. Well, if you got a great arm, do you make him your closer, or do you use him once every 5th day?
A lot of that depends on necessity and what you have on your roster and in your minor leagues. LaRoche skies it to the left side, curving and into the seats. You know, when John Wetland was the closer for the Yankees and Mariano Rivera was the setup man, they were comfortable that Mariano was ready to take over. It was a plan. This year for the Yankees, all of a sudden Mariano goes down, and even though Robertson had been brilliant as a setup man, all of a sudden you put somebody in a position that is new, and maybe they're mentally not ready for it. Soriano closed yesterday for the Yankees. Breaking ball, just misses.
There's a lot of people out there that will say you don't need a closer. That is until you don't have one.
Exactly.
And who can't get the job done. But I'm not so sure that I really buy into the theory that you have to use a closer every time you have a save. You know, I think I like the idea of having a hammer in the bullpen. And you don't necessarily have to use him in the 9th inning.
In the dirt we go full, 3 balls, 2 strikes to LaRoche.
But I've never managed, except from up here in the booth, where it's awful easy.
It's a lot easier, huh? Swing and a miss. LaRoche is retired. Good bounce back by Hoover. So the bullpen doing its job so far. Reds need some runs. Ludwig leads it off, and we return. Time for our AT&T trivia question for the night. Who was the last teenage position player to play for the Reds? The last teenage position player to play for the Reds. Good question. Reds have had some young players over the years. Of course, as we approach the month of June, Chris, you always think of one of the greatest people we were ever around, Joe Nuxhall, when he pitched at the age of 15 in 1944 as a pitcher. Don Gullett, Gary Nolan pitched as teenagers. A lot of young players as teenagers over the years have been in the Reds system. Fouled off by Ryan Ludwig. Reds during the Big Red Machine era and right prior to it, a farm system that was second to none, brought up people like Johnny Bench and Bobby Tolan. I'm not sure if Ada Pinson was a teenager, but he was awful young. A lot of good names. Swing and a miss. Ludwig is retired. He strikes out for the second time.
Well, that is the 10th strikeout tonight for the Reds. Reds hitters, that is. That is 33 of them in the last 3 games.
Craig Stammen, the new pitcher, takes over for Gio Gonzalez. Gonzalez, 115 pitches, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, and 4 walks. And Stammen has been outstanding. You know, we talk about the Reds' difficulties losing their closer, Ryan Madsen. Drew Storen, the closer for the Nationals, also on the DL. They hope to get him back before the first half of the season. He'll start tossing, and they might be able to get him back as early as June, which would be a big boost for that bullpen. But I mean, you got Gonzalez, who averages 92 as a starter. You got Strasburg, who's averaging 94, 95. You got Rodriguez in the bullpen, who his fastball averages 98. You put Storen and Stammen into that bullpen, it's a darn good bullpen. Mesoraco has struck out twice. The Reds have had 2 great scoring opportunities in the 4th. They had the bases loaded. Mesoraco struck out to end the inning. In the 5th, they had the bases loaded. Roland popped out to end the inning. Reds have stranded 6. Desmond takes care of that, and there's 2 away.
Well, Stammen is a young man that was drafted by the Washington Nationals in the 12th round of the 2005 draft, right out of the University of Dayton. So the former Dayton Flyer is pitching against a team he probably grew up watching, even though he's from Mercer County. Coldwater is way up in Mercer County, which is about the westernmost point you can be in Ohio and still be in Ohio.
Here's Wilson Valdez, who will pinch hit for Hoover in the 9th spot in the order. Fourth at bat of the season for Valdez. He does have a double. Versatile player, helping to give Dusty a versatile bench when everyone's healthy. Dribble down to second. Espinosa has it, and after 2 innings where the Reds threaten consistently, Stammen snuffs them out in the 6th with a 1-2-3, 7-2 Nationals. receive free sunglasses courtesy of Fox Sports Ohio and Ride Smart Sunglass Sunday. Here at Great American Ballpark, time for our AT&T trivia question. Who was the last teenage position player to play for the Reds? Chris, your guess?
Johnny Bench.
And the winner is 1967, JB. Reds have pretty good tradition of teenagers who are darn good ball players.
That makes it pretty amazing, though, that when you do have one, you remember him. I mean, Bryce Harper, Ken Griffey Jr. came up as a teenager. It's just how rare it is. I mean, this kid really, didn't he graduate early from high school so he would be eligible for the Major League draft a year earlier than the rest of his teammates?
Out of Las Vegas. Down to first, Joey Votto has it. Over to Arredondo, who comes in to pitch the 7th inning, and Harper's retired. Bryce is 0 for 4 thus far. 2 strikeouts, a fly ball out, and a ground ball out. I've been fortunate over the years to be a part of Major League Baseball and the Players Association Rookie Development Program, where every year each team will send its top 2 or 3 minor league players who are on the threshold of going to the major leagues, who all have major league capabilities. You know, for instance, for the Reds, Drew Stubbs was there, Jay Bruce was there, you know, Joey Votto, the list. The year or 2 before you make it to the major leagues, you send them to Lansdowne Convention Center in Virginia. And last year, Bryce Harper was part of that group. And Chris, it heard a lot about his athletic ability, and we saw that as an amateur and with USA Baseball, but to see his presence with his contemporaries and his presence with some of the people who were there, he's a pretty impressive young man. He's going to be fine.
I keep hearing that from everybody who's been close to him, George. The same thing. He'll be fine. He handles it all so well. He got some bad raps of some of the things that he did in the minor leagues. One was blowing a kiss to a pitcher that he hit a home run off of. But what you didn't hear in that story was what that pitcher did previous to that, which was kind of blow kisses and make faces to the hitters that he was striking out on Bryce Harper's team.
True.
So I think the guy, from what I understand, is a good, solid team player. And hey, Davey Johnson would not have a player on his ball club if he didn't think that he could come up here, handle it, and help his team.
When we saw the Nationals last year, when we went to Washington in September, when Davey had taken over and was trying to decide whether or not he would come back as manager this year, he was in the process of making a list for Mike Rizzo, the general manager, on who should be on the club for this year, meaning the 25-man roster. And at that point, Davey said, I said, if you put your roster together today, who would it include? And he went down the list. And of course, he had hoped to get LaRoche back, and he had hoped to get Morse healthy and playing left field. But he had Harper on that roster then. He knew then that he was ready for the major leagues.
Well, really the reason that he did not make the team out of spring training was because they didn't want him to come up, get off to a slow start, and then have everybody tell the organization, see, he needed some more seasoning.
Yep.
And then in the process, he loses a little bit of his confidence.
A lot of confidence for Arredondo here. He has a 1-2-3 quick 7 to the bottom of 7 we go. Top of the order due up for the Reds. To the 27th for the next Reds 4 for $48 ticket deal of the season. For only $48, you get 4 view level tickets and 4 Reds hats. Plus, don't miss Fireworks Friday, May 25th. A Scott Rowland Rawlings Gold Glove Award replica trophy giveaway on Saturday the 26th, and the Kids Binoculars giveaway on Sunday the 27th. Don't miss this great weekend of baseball giveaways and fun. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Get ready for the fireworks. Maybe the Reds can come up with some early fireworks here on this Friday night. Here's Zach Cozart. Flied out, struck out, singled in the 5th to knock in the Reds' second run. Stammen's second inning of work. He had a 1-2-3-6. Stubbs and Votto due to follow. Ray Miller's old adage, work fast, throw strikes, change speeds. Work fast was the first one. This one drilled to left, way back, but curving foul. And this Nationals club, Chris, works fast.
They sure do, at least the pitchers that we've seen so far. Gio Gonzalez was getting it going. Stammen the same way. Stammen's kind of a short armor. Ball kind of looks like it, not necessarily overpowering from a radar gun reading, but it looks like it gets in on you pretty good. That's kind of a funky little way that he takes the ball out of his glove and he gets his arm up.
Zach trying to get the Reds rolling here in the 7th. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good looking curveball there.
Nasty. 2 strikeouts for the right-hander from the Nationals.
Look at the motion. Look how he takes his arm out of his glove and he drops it down and he kind of really gets his elbow very high up. And he just drops that curveball right on the inside corner. That's about perfect placement.
Eleven strikeouts of Reds batters on this night. It's been a strikeout kind of week, huh?
You're not kidding about that. The Reds came into this game 8th in the National League in strikeouts as a team. Something like 238 strikeouts or so. The leaders are somewhere in the 260s. But they're gaining on it.
Stubbs retired 0 for 4. 2 ground outs, a strikeout, and that fly ball to left. And don't forget, after every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio will break down the game with interviews with the players and coaches. JD, Jim Day will be down there. Jeff Pecora will be in the clubhouse. Reds Live brought to you by Kings Honda, the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. No one will give you more coverage of the Reds than JD and Pick night after night. Here's Joey. Walked twice, infield hit. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reds have a quick 3-game homestand, then head to Atlanta. The Braves are in St. Louis tonight. They're leading the Cardinals 5-1 in the 3rd. Big weekend in St. Louis. They're retiring Tony La Russa's number. Reds general manager Walt Jocketty is in St. Louis for that. Of course, Walt was the general manager for Tony in St. Louis. Boy, the people from Tony's White Sox days, his Oakland days, and his St. Louis days all heading to St. Louis for this weekend's festivities. Well deserved. And the next stop for La Russa, Cox, Torrey, the Hall of Fame, all of them. Very clearly. Going to be a big run on managers going to Cooperstown, Chris.
Yeah, it really will be, won't it? It's been a while, has it not?
Well, Dick Williams, your former manager, was the last.
Somehow forgot about him.
Joey stays alive, just flicking that one foul. 3-2. They got him. 3 strikeouts for the right-hander. Joey's retired. The Reds go quietly in the 7th and trail 7-2. CHMC, Cincinnati Children's, in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in United States News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. And by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. Dependable, that's what Gio Gonzalez has been tonight. He put in 5 strong innings. And that's paced the Nationals to a 7-2 lead over the Reds. Gonzalez has exited after 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, and 9 strikeouts. He walked 4. Even though he was in command most of the way, there's a bouncer down to third. Roland has it. The catcher retired. And Arredondo has his 4th consecutive batter retired. It's been a tale of 2 cities for the Reds. Mike Leake started 3 innings, 7 hits, and 6 runs. A rugged start. He gave up 3 runs in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 more in the third. Since then, the bullpen, as usual, has done its job.
It really is amazing how consistently stingy this bullpen has been. I mean, it really doesn't matter who you put out there. And it's kind of like the way the starting rotation has been. Really, unfortunately, with the exception of Mike Leake, but you know, where you set the bar and no one wants to be the guy to go out there and give up runs. That bullpen has just been lights out. And you wonder, maybe the addition of Mac Jenkins as the assistant pitching coach this year has helped Brian Price get a handle on all the pitchers on this team, because it's so easy. You know, when you're a pitching coach, you got to take care of 12 guys, and that's an awful lot for one guy to take care of. And just to have another set of eyes, a veteran pitching coach like Mac Jenkins around just to help him, help Porky Lopez do his job down the bullpen. Seems to have paid off, that move.
It's working. 2 strikeouts for Arredondo in his inning and 2/3 of work. And here's Desmond at the top of the order with 2 away. Ian started it all in the first. A bullet base hit to center. He scored on a homer by Bernardino to make it 2-0. After a walk to Zimmerman, LaRoche doubled to make it 3-0, and the Nationals were off and running. After that, Desmond popped to second, single to center, and fly to right. Big swing, and it's 1-2. Not afraid to swing the bat as this leadoff hitter. Is he the ideal leadoff hitter? No, but Davey Johnson has told him, just be yourself and give me what you can. 1-2. Line, Rollins got it. Another 1-2-3 innings, back-to-back 1-2-3 innings for Arredondo. Can the Reds put some up? Phillips, Bruce, and Roland do up. Earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Another day, another swing. Remember the 5-0 lead that the Reds had on Washington back in April? A lot of that came off that bat. Brian Ludwig's grand slam, a drill that would have been nice to repeat on this night when the Reds had the bases loaded back in the 5th. Our Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's Brandon, bounced into a fielder's choice, singled and walked. Stammen's 3rd inning of work, 3 strikeouts so far through the first 2. Dusty Baker has always preferred to split up left-handed bats when he has them, and with Votto and Bruce at 3 and 5, he's opted to put Brandon in the middle. That's a bouncer through the hole, a base hit. Phillips has 2 more hits. And the leadoff hitter's on in the 8th inning.
But Dusty Baker will tell you that the number 4 slot for Brandon Phillips is not his ideal. I mean, he'd rather have him much closer to the top of the lineup, either 1 or 2. But the problem is he's got nobody to fill in number 4. So until Chris Heisey or Ludwig or another right-hander begin to swing the bat like they should be in the cleanup spot, it's going to stay the way it is.
Here's Jay. Bruce tonight doubled and was left stranded in the 2nd. His sacrifice fly plated Votto in the 4th to get the Reds their first run, and he struck out in the 5th. Short lead for Phillips down at first. Hey, come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Visit Mighty Mike at Newport Aquarium, the biggest gator in the country. Make it a weekend getaway and book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. Through the hole, that's a base hit. Phillips around second, heading to third, and the throw will come into second. Good read on that one by Brandon, and it's first and third.
Now get base runners on, find the hole if you can. The Nationals shortened up a double play depth. That means that second baseman's tugged a little bit towards the second base bag, and Bruce was able to find the hole. So Steve McCatty, we talked about him earlier, George, former Oakland A starting pitcher, has been the pitching coach in the minor leagues here. Going to amble out to the mound to try to calm down Craig Stammen a little bit. Remind him that he's got a 5-run lead and not to start panicking too soon.
Now you wondered what he's been doing most of the time. Most of his bullpen guys have gone 1 and 2 innings. This is the first time this year that Stammen has gone this long. Now 32 pitches in his 3rd inning of work. And there is action in the bullpen behind him. So McCatty's visit is just about as much about giving them time to loosen in the bullpen too.
Well, the Reds had the advantage of having a day off yesterday. They came back off that road trip from Milwaukee, came back Sunday night Wednesday night to a Thursday off day. But the Nationals came right here. They got in last night from Pittsburgh about 1:30 in the morning with no off day. Their pitching their bullpen had to cover 3 innings last night, and the game started by Strasburg. He only went 6. So they're not quite exactly as well rested as the Reds bullpen might be.
Here's Scott. Rolen struck out twice and popped out in the 5th inning.
Well, he's glad to see Gio Gonzalez out of there. I think just about everybody.
So are 8 other Reds.
Yeah.
Ball 1 to Rolen. 1st and 3rd. Nobody out. This is a game of adjustments, and it's pretty clear watching the last week or two that just about everybody is pounding Scott Rolen in. Looks like Bryce Harper has had a little bit of a cut on the side of his head.
Well, he didn't do it on the field. He certainly didn't do it running the bases.
Two balls, 1 strike to Rolen. Again coming in with a 2-2 count. And we'll go full 3 and 2. Phillips single, went to 3rd on the Bruce hit, so it's 1st and 3rd. Reds trail by 5, looking to put something together here in inning number 8. Looming in the bullpen, Henry Rodriguez in his 98-mile-an-hour fastball. There goes the runner. There's a bouncer down to 3rd. Ole, and they will. No. Did they get him? He did. They get him. Base running mistake by Brandon Phillips. Down by 5. They went 1 step too far off the bag, couldn't get back. They would not have had a play down at first after the bobble by Zimmerman. Another look.
Now that's just after the bobble. I think what Brandon thought is that he almost jumped over the tag. At least he tried anyway once he got hung up out there. Well, what Brandon may have thought when that ball was hit was that Zimmerman would go to second base to start a double play, and that he would trot on home, and the Nationals would turn 2, and that would be it. But as it turned out, the bobble gave him only one play, and that was at third base.
So they'll get the out at third, and there'll be a pitching change. So while the pitching change takes place, it's time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Still 2 on for the Reds, but runners at first and second now. Stammen's night is done, goes 2 1/3. He gives way to Ryan Matthews. The right-hander will face Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig, 2 strikeouts and a walk. Both runners are responsibility of Stammen. Matthews been tough on righties. They've hit only .211 against him this year. Nubbed into left. That'll drop for a hit. That'll get a run in. It'll be first and second. Bruce scampers home, and it's a 7-3 ball game. Well, Matthews picks up where Stammen leaves off, but gives up a base hit to the first batter he faces, and Ludwig picks up his 12th run batted into the season.
Yeah, little by little, the Reds are trying to crack their way back into this ball game. Didn't get a lot of it, but just enough to find some green area behind the third baseman. Keep the line moving.
The catcher, Devin Mesoraco, he's up next with the pitcher spot due next, and you saw Todd Frazier near the bat rack. Mesoraco tonight struck out, grounded out. It's a familiar refrain, the Steve McCatty pitching staff. No matter what their arsenal is, they pitch inside, and they stay inside on Devin. 2 balls, no strikes.
You better get away in there on him, because he's got a nice short swing, like a lot of catchers do.
Drill just foul down the third base line.
This kid is just tremendously strong, and you can't, you know, it's tough to expect too much out of a young player coming up out of the minor leagues. catching is going to be his main concern no matter what he does. But he has shown some glimpses in the minor leagues of just having tremendous power.
Snub foul down the first base line. It'll be out of play. Two balls, two strikes to Mesoraco. Rolling off second, Ludwig off first. Missing outside, and we'll go full 3-2.
Well, the only pitch that he's thrown him for a strike has been that fastball. So I imagine after missing outside like that, first and second, you don't want to load the bases. So there's a pretty good chance right here that Devin Mesoraco is going to get a good old-fashioned fastball.
Right on it at 94.
Yeah, the hardest thing for a young player in a situation like this is to concentrate on actually hitting the ball rather than getting involved in what the situation is and how badly his team needs a hit. Once you start getting caught up in all that, it makes your real duty of hitting the ball much tougher.
Try it again, 3-2. Cork, but foul again. He is right on top of it. Ramos goes out. Got to come up with something different. He's hammered away at 3 right on the inner part of the plate. Chris Heisey in the on-deck circle for the Reds with the pitcher spot due up next. McCaddy checking in with his bullpen. Aroldis Chapman loosening in the bullpen for the Reds right now. And there's ball 4. They're loaded. So for the second time tonight, the Reds have the bases loaded. They've got 1 run in on the inning. As Dusty always says, let's get within slam range, and he is.
Well, you know, you've got a guy with plenty of power up there too. Does not have a grand slam to his career. And Chris Heisey, he really should recognize here that the pressure's on the pitcher, and he ought to just zone or shrink that strike zone to something he can really handle.
6 pinch hit home runs in his career for Chris Heisey. 2 of them last year, 4 the year before, so he's used to these situations. He does not have a grand slam, but would be a bad time for his first right here. Ball 1 to Heisey. They're loaded. Reds down by 4. Popped up in the infield. The infield fly rule called. Heisey retired. And the bases will remain loaded. And that'll bring Cozart to the plate. There's Zach. Zach flied out, struck out, singled in a run, and struck out. On the year, 3 homers and 8 knocked in after the RBI earlier. That's nubbed. Foul, and the first base side of home plate. Roland reached on a fielder's choice. Ludwig singled and Mesoraco walked. That's loaded the bases for the Reds. Fourth batter, Matthews, his face since coming in. A hit, a walk, and a pop-up out. That's a strike. 1-2.
Where he is testing the catching skills of Wilson Ramos in this inning. Twice Ramos has gone down there to block and done a good job doing it.
Generally speaking, down is good, up is bad for a reliever this time of a ball game.
You'd rather miss down than up normally.
2-2. Yes, missing, and we'll go full again.
Good at bat right here by Zach Cozart. Make sure he goes to the plate and get a big jump. Long single scores 2, maybe even 3.
3-2, runners are off and moving, and that's a strike 3. So the Reds once again leave the bases jammed. They've stranded 9 on the night and trail it 7-3. Live coach Jim Day and the Fox Sports Ohio girls on June 7th as part of Fox Sports Ohio's Lunch Bunch. You can go to Facebook.com/Fox Sports Ohio girls for your chance to win a seat at the luncheon and a 46-inch HD TV. The Fox Sports Ohio Lunch Bunch presented by Cincinnati Bell. Now it's time for our Nissan drive of the game. It came early in the first inning. A base hit by Ian Desmond, and then Roger Bernardina gets his second home run of the week to make it 2-0. Bernardina would add a single to make it 4-0 in the second inning. The Nissan drive of the game, Roger Bernardina. The Nationals 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors. They've left 6. The Reds 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. And they've stranded 10 on the evening. Here's Sam LeCure. as we go to the top of the 9th inning. Reds will have one more crack at it as you look at the bottom of 9. Number 2 hitter Stubbs, Votto, and Phillips due up. If you joined us late, Mike Leake, 3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs. Alfredo Simon, 2 innings, 3 hits, and a run. Those are the 7 runs that are on the board for the Nationals. J.J. Hoover and Arredondo both followed with solid performances. And now in the 9th, Sam LeCure facing Bernardina, Zimmerman, and LaRoche. Those 2 hits by Bernardina, part of his 2 for 4 night, and the 3 runs batted in. Now, with all the injuries that they've had, this is Bernardina's opportunity to show that he could be a regular. Maybe his last opportunity to do so. He's been with the organization since they were in Montreal. One of the last of the Mohegans. They went from Montreal to Washington. Injuries have sidetracked him as he matures as a hitter, looking for an opportunity. He came in hitting only 180, but with the injuries, most recently the Jason Worth injury that'll put him on the sidelines for up to 12 weeks. Michael Moore still on the DL. Moore's figures to be the left fielder when he comes back. So this is his opportunity. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sam will work from the stretch. Big swing, got him for a strikeout. Now, Chris, one of our favorite guys, Don Zimmer, of course, we hear a lot these days about what's my role in the bullpen, and Zim always said role is something you have for dinner. I don't want to hear anything about that. But it's how you react to the situation you're put in, and whatever role you put Sam LeCure in, whether it's a mop-up job, whether it's a setup job, whether it's a key 1 inning or 2 batter appearance, he usually rises to the occasion.
Well, I think he's very much appreciated by this organization. Came up as a starter, started 6 games his first year, started 4 games last year. That is a rare instance right there where you have the first baseman playing off the bag a great ways, and the right-handed hitter is able to slice it between him and the line. Votto almost came up with that ball. But more and more teams are playing a more exacting defense, and you see where Votto is right here. Well, that ball is going to go shooting over this way and just barely get by him. Knocked it down, but not enough to be able to get the play at first base. There aren't too many right-handed hitters that have done that. And that's why you see so many teams against right-handed hitters playing that first baseman way off the bag.
So Zimmerman a base hit, 1 out, 1 on, and here's LaRoche. Adam doubled in a run in the first, walked and scored in the third, singled in a run, the 7th run of the game in the 4th inning, and then struck out. So 2 for 3, another productive night for the veteran first baseman. And on the year now, he's 8 for 20 with 8 runs batted in against the Reds. 8 of his 23 runs batted in on the season are against Cincinnati. Two balls, 1 strike.
LaRoche is one of those hitters that starts wide open with his right foot, pointed more toward the second baseman than he does the pitcher. And then when he's ready to hit, he brings that foot around and he kind of lines himself right back to square. He does that so he gets a better look at it. You see the ball with both eyes much better when you're a little bit open. But what that does is normally, at least in most scouting reports, it invites pitchers to try to get that ball inside on you, because as you come around to make square, you sometimes leave that inside edge susceptible. And that's a spot where Sam LeCure has been very good at throwing the ball. That front door fastball right in on the inside corner.
Full count, 3-2.
Here it comes.
Runner going, fouled off. Bryce Harper on deck for the Nationals. Harper thus far tonight 0 for 4 and a couple of strikeouts. Now a Band-Aid over that left eye.
It'd be interesting to hear the story behind that.
Oh for 4 nights will do that to you, won't
Yep.
they? 3-2. There's Bryce right on the eyebrow of the left eye. There goes the runner, and there is strike 3. The throw down will not be in time. So LaRoche is retired, second out of the inning, and he will argue a bit with Jeff Kellogg.
He thought that pitch was not a strike. He was hoping he'd see a replay as he's walking back very slowly to the dugout. Let's take another look at it. We'll get the look that Adam LaRoche have to wait till after the game to get. He thinks it was down and in. He sees the throw go to second base, not in time, but he can't believe it.
This one looped to left, long run, Ludwig. It will be a foul ball. Bryce tonight struck out looking in the first, flied to center in the third, struck out swinging in the fourth, and bounced to Joey Votto in the seventh. Zimmerman with a stolen base, his second of the year, sitting at second. Game of adjustments, isn't it, Chris?
Well,
you come up and they find out you can hit a fastball, so they push you off to the plate.
Yeah,
they throw you away.
Off the plate.
Yep.
They start changing speeds down and away. You try to get yourself to start hitting the ball the other way, which what he has done over the last couple of games. Even the outs that he's made prior to tonight have been to the left side.
Setting up inside again is Mesoraco. Yep, got him. Well, a learning night for the young outfielder. 0 for 5 and 3 strikeouts. Last roundup for the Reds. They trail 7-3. experience this summer with the official Reds baseball and softball camps presented by Safeco Insurance. All campers receive their own Reds uniform, special instruction from a Reds coach, on-field VIP experience at Great American Ballpark, plus a guest appearance by a current Red star. For information on the official Reds camps, visit reds.com/camps today. Last roundup for the Reds. They trail at 7-3 as we go to the bottom of 9. And here's a guy that we've seen a lot of over the years, Chris, mostly in Pittsburgh, Sean Burnett.
Yeah, the left-hander is going to come in there. I believe he may have been warming up before. 10 games overall. He, like a couple of the guys out of the bullpen for the Reds, have been perfect in that earned run average department. He's got no earned runs given up. As he comes in here to face the left-handed part of the Reds lineup, if you want to call it that.
That's a dribbler down the first base line. No way they'll get him. Stubbs with his speed gets the bunt hit. Well, little things, and maybe that little thing can get the Reds rolling in the ninth. Doesn't have to be perfect when you got that kind of speed.
Well, you're not kidding about that. And that is one of the rare occasions when Drew Stubbs does lay down a bunt. He pushes it to the right side. That's something he's been practicing on. Billy Hatcher's been there practicing with him. That's the bunt that made Norris Hopper a major leaguer, and there's no reason why Drew Stubbs can't master it also. Man, what a weapon.
Here's Joey. That's Stubbs' first hit of the night. 1 for 5. Votto down to third, backhanded by Zimmerman. They'll get one on to first, won't be in time. What a play by Zimmerman. A brilliant defensive play just to get to the ball. And then coming off a sore shoulder to make this throw to second.
I'll tell you what, he makes a great play. He's as good as anybody going to his backhand side or making that slow roller play. But to be able to come up and throw and get an out on that play. Boy, what a pick-me-up for Sean Burnett.
Instead of at least second and third and nobody out, there's a runner at first and one out. I mean, that may have even produced a run if it got by him. Here's Brandon. Phillips bounced into a fielder's choice, singled, walked, and singled again. 2 for 3. For Votto, he reaches on the fielder's choice. Joey tonight walked twice and singled and struck out prior to that at bat. Jay Bruce on deck for the Reds. They don't hold Votto on, so he'll take second base. Defensive indifference, won't be credited with a stolen base. He does have one earlier tonight, his second stolen base of the season. Both loosening in the Washington bullpen. High fly ball down the line and right. Over is Xavier Nady, who takes over for Harper and right, and he'll haul that in for the second out of the inning. Just judging, Chris, by the way we saw Bryce Harper after he hit that last ball and then the foul ball and then struck out. I mean, even with the Band-Aid, there was still blood coming down his side of his face, so he's out, and I would have to believe he'll probably need stitches on whatever that cut is over the eyebrow.
Too early to speculate, but I might suggest it could be self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yep. Here's Jay. Bruce double, sacrifice fly, knocked in a run, struck out, and singled. Fouled off, and it's 0-2.
You can see how Sean Burnett can be tough on left-handers. He's been a bullpenner really since the second year he was in the major leagues. Came up with Pittsburgh in 2004, then came back up with the Pirates in 2008. But he's way across his body, kind of gives you a side-winding motion. He starts that breaking ball, looks like it starts somewhere behind your shoulder blade. It's kind of tough to hang in there.
This year, left-handers are hitting only 154 against him, and for his career, he's been pretty solid against lefties most years. One and two to Bruce. Votto off second. And the dirt. Reds clinging to life. Down by 4 here in the ninth. That's a liner. Backhanded by Desmond, and a fine defensive play. The left side of the infield snuffs out 2 attempts by the Reds to get back into this one. A great play by Zimmerman for a force at second, and a brilliant play by Desmond on a hard hit ball gives Gio Gonzalez a victory. Gonzalez will go to 4-1. He pitched 5 innings, allowed 5 hits and 2 runs. He'll get the victory, and Mike Leake, if he joined us late, 3 innings, 7 hits and 6 runs, will take the loss. As the Nationals will win it by a final 7-3. By the way, time to say hi to the Dancing Dog, our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. A rough night for the Reds, but how about this play, Chris? Rick Ankiel bangs one off the first base bag, and what a play by Joey Votto.
Well, you're not kidding. Barehanded in the same motion, he flips to Alfredo Simon, who's covering the bag. He's in the right place at the right time. A lob pass, perfect timing. That's our John Morrell hot dog.